David Bradford,
Here.
Gary Rosen,
Here.
Regina Truitt,
Here.
Laura Yu.
Here. That's not here, and Jessica.
Neil Mino Roberts.
Here.
Steve Cohen.
Here.
Craig Plaitner.
Here. Okay, so a couple things before we get started. We have a couple applications that are gonna be carried, calendar 408026. That application under Rebecca Spice Handler at 33 Windermere. That application is to be carried to 4/27 this year, April 27th. There will be no further notice. And check the town website for any changes to that application. Along with calendar 402525. Triple One Holdings, which is property located at 44 Essex Street. That application will also be carried, that application will be 4/13 to our next meeting. No further notice will be given. So if you're on those, either application of those tonight, just know that they will not be heard this evening. Which will bring us to our first application, calendar 402324, 31 Talbot Court.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To the board and board can focus. My name is Erica Edwards. I'm a land use and zoning lawyer here in New Jersey. I'm here before the Auburn Township Zoning Board of Adjustment representing Gregory Tolchinsky. The subject address is 31 Talbot Court. That is block 4101, lot 51 on the Milburn Township tax map. We are in the R4 zoning district. We are here this evening seeking C variance or bulk variance approval to maintain a raised patio located in the rear yard of our property. We have two expert witnesses and a fact witness here with us this evening. We have our licensed professional New Jersey engineer, Mr. Stephen Parker, to my immediate right. To the right of Mr. Parker is our planning consultant, Mr. Samuel Bellamy of Dresner Robin. And to Mr. Bellamy's immediate right is the applicant and property owner, Mr. Gregory Tolchinsky. So with that, I wonder if we could swear both of our, or maybe all of our witnesses at once, and then I would qualify them, the
Will they come forward?
experts, one at a time.
Great.
Yes, hold on. Before we actually even do that. So this application, just so we're all clear, was originally heard in part on August 25th, 2025. And at the time, the application got started and then it was carried first to September 29th and then to subsequent dates. That brings us to March 16th, 2026. Couple things to note. Number one is that due to the passage of time, we asked the applicant to renotice and get a new 200-foot list because of the elapsed time between the August of 2025 date and today's date, number one. And number two is, and I communicated this with Ms. Edwards, that given the unusual passage of time between the first hearing and this hearing, coupled with the fact that at the time the initial hearing took place, a number of the board members that are sitting on the dais today either were not here, were not even board members at the time, including Mr. Yu tonight. And given the relief that's requested, I had asked or stated to Ms. Edwards that I thought it was a good idea that she essentially start over or start from scratch, because we hadn't gotten too far at the August 2025 hearing. And instead of having board members go back and look at a video or read a transcript from 6 months ago, if not longer, that it would be better if we just sort of start over and have those points represent. So Ms. Edwards, you were here to hear me right now. Do you have any objection to the way we're gonna proceed?
Not at all.
And just to remind you, that at the time, back in August, there were a couple of exhibits that were marked. So we just want to make sure that if we're gonna mark exhibits, we're gonna kind of remark them, redate them, etc.
We are gonna do.
So with that, if anyone's gonna be testifying tonight, is your client gonna be testifying?
Mr. Tolchinsky, in case, yeah.
Okay, raise your right hand. If you are doing, you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're gonna give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and one by one, to state your name and address, please.
Gregory Tolchinsky, 31 Talbot Court, Travis, New Jersey, Los Angeles.
Samuel Bellamy, our business address is 30 Montgomery Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, Suite 510.
Steve Parker, Parker Engineering, Somerville, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Information as well?
No, you're not gonna be.
Okay, I know I'm not
sworn
testifying, but
Or
Or
testifying,
testifying.
you
yes.
looked at me as if I wanted to make sure. Okay, very good. Our first expert witness will be, Mr. Steve Parker. Steve, I'm gonna ask you to put your, educational and professional credentials on the record, please.
My name is Steve Parker. I'm licensed as a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey for probably over 30 years. Testified before many boards. I don't think I've been before this board in a very long time. As a professional engineer, and provided testimony in applications very similar to this one here. I'm an owner of Parker Engineering and Surveying, and we prepare applications for land use applications similar to this one.
And your license is in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Great, please proceed.
And just so we're clear, Mr. Parker, you're just testifying this evening as a professional engineer.
That's correct. So the application that's here in front of the board this evening is for, well, it's a little bit unusual because it's for a patio that is currently under construction. It started with permits quite a while ago. It was determined after construction began that there was some issues with that required the application to come before this board. But if you look at the plan that was submitted to the board for approval, it shows basically directly behind the house where the patio construction has begun. That is actually in place of an existing patio that was there before. That prior patio was a little bit smaller. It was removed and construction began on this patio here where it says patio under construction. And then it was discovered that there were some setback issues and some coverage issues. And the planner who is going to provide testimony after me will go over in detail what those exact variances are. But I just wanted to provide just a little bit of background on this property and what's being proposed and what's part of the application. So you can see the size of the patio, the dimensions are there. The coverage numbers are listed in the chart on the right-hand side of the drawing. And in addition to the patio, and I'm sorry, there is an existing pool there in the backyard. That is going to remain. In addition to the patio, the proposal is to install some trees for screening purposes along both property lines in the area of the proposed patio to act as a screen. 7 will be proposed on the left side of the drawing as you're looking at it, and then 6 on the right-hand side as well. In addition to that, there is a drainage system that will collect runoff, stormwater runoff from the patio. And you can see where there's some inlets illustrated on the plan, basically directly behind that patio. What those do is those collect the runoff from the patio, and that will divert or direct that runoff toward the back part of the property, toward on this property toward the backyard. So it doesn't go off on the sides, we don't really go inside on the side. There's really no significant grading that's proposed, and no grade changes that are proposed. The patio is slightly raised. I think the plan is to be about 18 inches above the grade at the highest point there. But that's really the essence of what's being.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, the record should reflect that Ms. Zoll has come up to the dais, is present. So I would say that given that Mr. Parker so far has just provided some introductory remarks about the application, that she can sit and participate here.
Okay.
And if there's something you want to repeat for Ms. Zoll's benefit,
I think, yeah, I mean, just briefly, what we're proposing is a patio that's under construction, started construction. Seeking approval for that because there's some variances that are required, from setback purposes, for coverage purposes.
Okay.
Those exact numbers will be provided by the planner who's gonna be testifying after me. And I think as I was describing, there really are no other significant changes that are proposed. This patio is a little bit larger than the one that was there, but it's basically to replace the patio that was there. And the reason is to provide a more usable area with access up the back part of the home. I would say that's probably about all that I have to cover, is really.
So, real quick, has engineering reviewed this in the township?
Well, engineering reviewed the original plan and that's who came to me when they went out to the site to see that. That's not what was done out there,
Okay, so when you talk about this drainage, you said drains to the back of the property. Was there dry wells put in or is it just drains?
Just drains, no drivers have been installed
So it drains to Deerfield Schools?
in that direction, correct. It stays, it's the drainage outlet on the property toward the back side of the existing pool, onto this property, but yeah, it's the school is behind this property.
And like I said, and engineering had no comment regarding that? It was,
I'm not aware if a grading permit was required.
Mr. Parker, in response to the chairman's inquiry, has there been any thought given to installing a dry well in the rear of the property? Given the space back there and the adjacent property to the west?
Certainly, if that's a requirement, the applicant will certainly comply.
yeah, I mean, if this board is, it's outside the purview of the board, it's merely that, you know, you have a sizable patio here. About 60 by 27 ish.
Correct, yes.
1,800 square feet. So that's the only thing I was wondering, but like I said, that's something the engineering department will have to look at. So I was just wondering if they took a review of this or not, that was the bottom line.
I think they're also waiting for something to do, because the work stopped, correct? There's no work being done there currently.
That's correct.
So he'd be waiting for this to.
So just,
And I'm sorry,
Correct.
just so that the board's clear, that even if this application or any application is subject to a subsequent engineering review, when you're dealing with excessive lot coverage, building coverage, et cetera, certainly it's within the purview of the board to make determinations, whether it's conditions of approval or otherwise, or at least make inquiries in terms of addressing things like stormwater management in those circumstances.
like I said, I just think with a impervious of 42.8%, I would like to see the engineering department actually take a look at this. So why don't you also tell us about why you're here tonight? Like, where did we get to where we are? Like, we're sort of picking up, but barely, you know, is this an oops moment or where are we at here?
You know, I'll do my best. I wasn't involved from the beginning of the project. But my understanding is that there was an application that was submitted that was approved. But I think there was some discrepancies that I think engineering was called to go out and take a look at the site. And there was some discrepancies found on the plan that was initially submitted. And so then that required the board approval, and that's how they ended up in front of the board.
Can I just jump in on that for a second? Discrepancies in the plans, I thought it was something was built that was materially bigger than what was in the plans.
You know, I'm probably not the best person to answer that question because I wasn't involved from.
Because I'd like to know what the two different numbers are.
Yeah. Maybe perhaps the applicant or the planner, I think, has been more, the next witness can probably, describe that better than I.
Mr. Parker, are you at least able to describe the dimensions of the prior patio or the smaller patio as you described it versus the proposed patio?
Again, yeah, so the proposed patio, you can see on the in the chart on the right hand side, the proposed patio is about 1,648 square feet. Okay, that's what's being proposed. The existing patio, or that with the prior patio that was there, is about sorry, I have the right number. Okay, so the number is, oh, I'm sorry, that's, well, I don't know the exact values. Oh, okay, here, I'm sorry, yes, 718 square feet. So it's an increase of, roughly 900.
So it's not a little.
No, it's a big patio, yeah.
No, the increase is not little,
It's about 900 or so square feet.
right, more than, oh, it's more than double.
Correct.
Right, but what was applied for originally? Did we get that answer?
I don't know if we can,
So what was applied for originally? What was the original specs of? And if you don't know that and someone else does,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying, what was the original application for? Because, clearly it's a forgiveness application, but we're proceeding here like it's all brand new and shiny. So we need to know where we came from to where we're at today.
I'm probably not the best person to answer. You got involved kind of in, late in this, so I'm not sure how the project started.
Okay, so let's get to that. Counselor, any other questions for, Mr. Parker? We may circle back to you, so.
Great.
Yeah, anyone in the public have any questions for Mr. Parker? Comments we'll do at the end. I'm gonna ask you to come on forward, because we're recording this meeting tonight for minutes. At this point, you do not have to be sworn in. You do have to frame your comment form of question, and just please identify your name and address for the record.
My name is Ken Rampel, and I live 27 Court, which is the house next
So next door, to the left or to the right, staring at the house?
on the left.
On your left, thank you very much.
Parker, you said that the patio was slightly raised. What was it raised from and to?
So the existing or the proposed patio, I can speak to the proposed patio that's out there now. And I think there's an exhibit that the next witness will present that shows it's about 18 inches in most of the area. It'll be a little bit more than that on the backside, but I think the plan is to
18 inches higher than the.
higher than existing grade, So you can see the existing grade, and I think there might even be some elevations on this plan. But yeah, it's about 18 inches above existing grade.
Did that answer your question?
No.
No, I didn't think it did. So he's wondering, and if you don't mind me speaking for you, from where you went to where you are, not so much where you are, but what was it prior to its expansion?
Yeah, unfortunately, again, I cannot answer that, because when we got involved in the project, it was after the patio was already removed, so I don't know what the conditions were before we got involved. The patio that's there now was already removed when we were.
Okay, so,
Okay.
let me, if I can start with
I'm
2
also
seconds.
asked, I'm really.
Just come forward.
Wait,
because-
Mr.
What I
Capra,
really-
hold on,
Excuse me?
hold on. So, Mr. Parker, your plan is dated January 19th, 2026. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, when did you first become involved with this project?
December of 2025.
December 2020. Okay, so go ahead, ask your next question.
I'm really asking, what is it now?
The current elevation now?
Yes. On the side, there's a side that runs 27 feet or so. And. on
So that'll be the side adjacent to your property.
That's correct.
Okay.
What is the height mark on its lowest point of the ground to the top?
So the point where it's the lowest is directly adjacent to the house. So where that patio is up against the house, that's where the patio is about 18 inches tall.
And then proceeds to,
And then the ground slopes away toward the back part of the property. And it's probably about 2 feet or 26 inches around in that area.
Your plan says proposed wall 3 foot high.
Maximum, yeah. So it won't be taller than that, but I think the plan is actually to probably bring some fill in around the bottom area there. And bring that, so we could certainly say it won't be more than, 2 feet, 24 inches above the existing grade.
any other questions?
I'll leave that.
Okay, any other questions from the audience for this witness? I'll go back to you, Counselor.
Okay, very good, thank you. Call our next witness, Mr. Sam Bellamy addressing Robin. Mr.
Mr. Bellamy, would you put your educational and professional credentials on the record, please?
So I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm with the firm Dresden and Robin, also certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners, and I do have a master's in city and regional planning from Rutgers University. I testify frequently before boards in New Jersey as an expert professional planner.
Credentials are accepted by this board.
Thank you. And I do have an exhibit that I want to mark into the record. It's a presentation titled Variance Relief. It's 8 slides. Last revised date of March 15, 2026.
We're gonna mark all of that as A1.
A1,
A1.
so the A1 and A2 from the last time. is
A1
gone.
and A2 don't exist, we're starting
Gone.
over.
Excellent. Right, yeah. Yeah.
So I did appear at the August hearing. At that hearing, the board had a number of questions related to what was being proposed, what existed in the prior condition. They asked for site photos and conformance with overall the zoning of the R4 district. So I did put together this exhibit to hopefully address many of those comments that the board has.
Mr. Bellamy, you understand, based on my comments at the beginning of the meeting, that we're starting over.
Of course.
On this application, so, please, for your benefit, don't rely on
Yep,
the prior hearing or your prior testimony, you're gonna give it again as the.
yep, understood. Just setting the table for the presentation. So on the first page, you'll see there's a picture of the home at 31 Talbot Court. The lot size here is 20,000 square feet, so it does meet the standard. It's 100 by 200 feet, also meeting the lot width, lot depth standards of the R4 district. There are the 2 variances that we're seeking. One is for the maximum lot coverage. The requirement is a maximum of 35% permitted. The existing condition was 34.6%, and the proposed condition with the proposed patio is 42.8%.
Hang on 1 second there. So you have the existing with old patio at 38.2?
Yeah, so getting ahead, we're not taking credit for the prior patio, given that it was removed as part of construction, so we did want to be conservative and basically show the existing condition as no patio being there at all. Just given the the nature of this application and the construction going ahead with the proposed patio.
Right, this isn't the proposed patio. The proposed patio is already proposed to the township. They've approved of the patio, right?
Not that.
Not the 700 one.
Right,
That's not.
and that original patio. Okay, where were you on your numbers on that original patio?
So with that patio included, the lot coverage was at 38.2%.
So that other patio didn't conform either.
Correct, it was over.
So then how was that not flagged for zoning?
That was dating back, I think, to the 80s is the survey that we could see.
Oh, so you're talking about the existing one. So you were replacing an existing non-conforming, correct?
Correct.
So you're staying at 38.2 with the original plan submitted.
Correct. And I think what would help is to go over what the discrepancy was when that zoning permit was applied. The plan that was shown did propose what's being proposed now with the patio at the rear of the home. The difference was it didn't reflect the pool patio and the pool coverage, which represent a substantial amount of coverage. So when the zoning application went in, it went in without that coverage calculation and actually showed up as being conforming. So that was the difference. It wasn't that what was being proposed and what was constructed were 2 different things. It was simply that what existed on the site with the pool patio that was constructed somewhere along the lines 20, 30 years ago wasn't reflected on the plan that was submitted to the building department.
Oops. Okay, carry on, we'll figure it out from there.
All right, so the coverage we just talked about, the additional bulk variance relief that we need is for the minimum side yard setback on the south side. Given that the raised patio section rises above 18 inches from the grade, it's considered attached to the principal structure, and therefore the setback conditions for the principal structure apply to the patio portion. So the patio is inset 2 feet from the south property line. It's overall 2 feet additional from the home from the south property line. The overall setback of 12.15 feet, and the requirements 22 feet for structures taller than I believe 20 feet. So we're applying the setback standard that's for the entire home to the patio and requesting the bulk variance relief given the portion that's raised above 30 feet.
Can I ask on the part of the patio that's not raised? Isn't it raised at least something? Because if it's sloping down the property, may not be raised as much as the other parts, but it must be raised, right?
Correct, and so I can turn your attention to, and I apologize, I realize the page numbers don't show up on the presentation, but it's the 5th page. It has 6 images of the conditions of the home. I did take these photos myself back in August. So the image number 2 is essentially looking from behind the patio, on the pool patio, looking up back to the home and to the raised patio. So you see there's 2 steps that get you to the lower raised portion of the patio. And then there's another 2 steps that get you to the higher portion of the raised patio that levels off even when you enter the home.
So picture 1, okay, when I walk back there, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, because the witness has provided 8 slides. My recommendation is let him just sort of go through slide by slide, and then we can ask, or you can ask as many questions as you.
Got it.
So I think you finished your first slide.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Bellamy. So what is the second slide intended to show?
The second slide showed that plan that the 1985 survey that showed the prior patio on the property. As you can see, there is a pool indicated. It's a different shape. It's not exact dimensions. There's also no patio shown around that pool. So when the plans were presented with the drawn on patio that's now being proposed, it reflected a much different condition that was actually out on the site, getting us to where we are tonight. The image on the left is an aerial image that's dated March 3rd, 2024. Again, that shows the existing conditions of the property prior to the zoning permit application and construction of the partial construction of the patio, with the prior patio and pool patio located on the property, just to provide some context of what was actually on the property. Going into page 3, this now shows a current aerial of the property that's dated March 19th, 2025. That shows the portion of the patio that was constructed to the rear of the home. Again, there were no changes to the front of the property or to the pool or pool patio. Then on the right is the current plan that was presented by Mr. Parker this evening, indicating the upper raised patio and lower raised patio that's being sought for approval tonight. The third slide is meant to provide a comparison of now that prior conditions plan and the proposed plan. You can see the image on the left has an orange highlight of the patio area.
So this is the 4th slide.
Correct, thank you. 4th slide. The image on the left is that 1985 survey. Highlighted is in orange is the prior patio. That was 718 square feet, about 3.6% overall coverage on the property. Then on the right shows the proposed patio. The entire area of the patio is highlighted in orange at 1,648 square feet. 8.2% of the overall property. And then overlaid, or underlaid on that image is the prior patio to show that it's, larger than what was there previously and extends the full width of the home. And was an increase in what's being proposed now is an increase of 930 square feet from that prior patio that existed on the property. The table on the upper right of the page shows, again, the permitted lot coverage at 35%. The existing coverage was 34.6%, excluding the prior patio, 38.2%, including that patio, and now proposed at 42.8%. And below that is the calculations, breakdown of the lot coverage provided from the site plan that Mr. Parker presented earlier. Moving into page number 5 of the presentation, these are those 6 images showing the conditions of the property with the partially constructed patio. Number 1 is walking up the south side yard of the property, viewing from the gate to the rear of the property. So you can see there is a slope as you go from the front of the properties back down to the rear. And then to the very right bottom of that image is the 2 steps that get you up the upper portion of the patio. Image number 2 is viewing from the rear of the yard from the pool patio up back to the house. Again, there's 2 steps getting onto the lower portion of the patio area. And this is due to the topography on the site sloping down as you go to the rear of the property. Image number 3 is viewing south from the north side, side yard, looking into the patio and you can see the lower portion, and then on the left of that image is the portion of the raised patio that runs adjacent to the home. Image number 4 is from the south side yard viewing north. You can see the 2 steps that get you to the upper raised portion of the patio that runs the entire width of the home, about 5 feet from the home in width, and then also about, I believe it's about 20 feet from the south going north is the upper raised portion of the patio. Image number 5 is viewing from on top of the lower raised portion of the patio, viewing to the pool and the pool patio in the rear yard. And then image number 6 is viewing from the rear yard, the south side, back up to the home, and you can see the slope of the yard and the difference between when entering the home and the back portion of the property. Slide number 6 is the indicates the side setback variance relief that we're seeking. It's in the south side yard of the property. It shows the existing home at a non-conforming condition of 10.15 feet, where 22 feet is required. The raised patio was constructed at 12.1 feet from that south side yard, again, where 22 feet is required. And on the right of that page is some of the justifications for the variance that I'll get to later in my testimony. I just kind of want to go through the presentation and answer your questions first. But as Mr. Parker indicated, we are proposing trees along both side property lines to minimize the impact of the raised patio. Slide number 7.
By the way, I'm gonna break my rule and interrupt you for a second.
Yeah.
So on pages 5 and 7, you have a whole series of photographs. When were those photographs taken?
The images on slide 5 were taken back in August by myself.
This is August of 2025.
Correct. And then the images on slide number 7 were taken by the homeowner, Mr. Kolzinski. They were actually taken today. I wanted to get some additional images with measurements. But they do reflect my site visit and remembrance of the conditions when I was there.
So the photos that you did not take, that are dated March 16, 2026, accurately depict what you saw when you viewed the property?
That's correct.
Go on.
So those images, images 1 and 2, are both from the south side yard. One's from basically the edge of the home, looking into the rear yard, again, just to show the slope of the property, in that south side yard location, and then the image number 1 is looking back up to the home, again, showing the topography of that south side yard. Image number 3 does show the measurement. I realize it's a little bit hard to see, but that measurement's 19¼ inches from grade to the top of the raised patio at the corner of the home. Image number 4 is the southwest corner, so towards the rear yard on that south side yard. And that does increase to 42¼ inches. So we're talking about a 23-inch difference from the front of the patio at the home to the rear corner of the patio. And then number 5 is to show the difference between the lower raised patio and upper raised patio. That's a difference about 16 inches, so each step's about 8 inches, going to an at-grade entrance into the rear of the home. And then finally, slide number 8 is just to show some other conformance of the property. So the FAR permitted in the R4 district is 26%. The existing and proposed condition is the same, it's at 21.3%, so we're below the overall FAR permitted on the property. Front yard setback, we do have a 40.1 front yard setback that meets the minimum 40-foot requirement. Rear yard setback is 20% of the lot depth, so that's 40 feet in this case. The current condition is 58.7%, is 117.3 feet to the home. And then now with the proposed raised patio, we're measuring that setback to the rear of the patio. That's 45.1% or 90.15 feet. And that also exceeds the minimum rear yard setback requirement. Finally, the rear yard unoccupied calculation, it's a maximum of, it's a minimum requirement at 25% of the lot area or 5,000 square feet. We are proposing 36.2% of the lot area, 7,235 square feet of the rear yard to be unoccupied. And that's reflected on the image to the left of the area in green, is what is unoccupied, and then the area in orange is what is occupied. And that image also shows those setbacks I referenced for the front and rear yard, as well as the area in blue is the area of the home and the FAR package. So I think that takes me through the presentation. So before getting into the justification of the variances, I'd like to see if the board has any questions or would like me to elaborate on anything further.
Any questions from the board?
I just want to make sure I understand these numbers correctly. The original plan, without getting into why it happened, missed the patio that's around the pool in doing the calculations. Is that correct?
That's fine.
And that's why it came out at 34.6. And when we discovered that, realized that we're really at 42.8.
That along with the grade difference that we started to reflect on the old survey didn't have topography, so you couldn't tell, you were looking at a 2D plan that's flat.
But I mean, just in terms of the lot coverage, it's just
Yeah.
what I said, or was there some other reason?
No,
Other than that, it's a lot.
it was that difference of the
Okay.
pool patio that wasn't shown.
So when the original, and I don't really care so much about what was submitted in some ways, because this is what we're dealing with today, but what was submitted to town was the same patio, just without the calculations of pool.
That's correct.
So it was what we're looking at today. And then someone called and said, this doesn't look right, and the town went and looked at it, because I don't think they just drove by, because they had,
Nothing else.
right,
I think that's my understanding.
okay, that's what I want to make sure.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead, absolutely.
This was initially submitted as a patio. Grade level patio. So the setback was 12 feet. And initially it was rejected by me because it was over on accessory coverage. He reduced it from its size. didn't show the pool surround around the pool. And so what happened was that I think engineering went out to do the inspection. I don't know if we got a complaint, but for some reason they went out and discovered that it wasn't a great little patio. They had built walls, it was now raised, which made the setback, because initially it was only 10 feet off the property line, he pulled it into 12. But then when they went out, they realized it was raised. Well, now it's part of the principal structure, it has to be 15 feet off the property line. So that's when the whole thing kind of.
And the pool magically appeared.
Well, and
Well,
they
the pool
also said
patio.
the pool patio wasn't reflected on the survey. So once we got an accurate survey and we realized where it had gone,
Okay,
I couldn't approve.
And if I could add, at the time, it was the homeowner submitting a zoning permit application. I wasn't involved. I don't believe Ms. Eric.
no, I mean, these things happen. All right, so why don't you get, any questions from the audience real quick so far? You know what? I'm gonna hold off on that 1 second because I want him to discuss his proofs and then we'll get into that, okay? Anyone else on the board, questions up to the point where we're right now?
Just have one question.
Go ahead.
So if the patio had been built at grade, you wouldn't need some of these variants? So what I'm hearing.
Well, given the topography of the site, I think the rear portion of the patio would always be raised. Short answer is if it was completely level, then no, you wouldn't need the setback variance. You would still need the lot coverage. But the setback variance would go away because it would no longer be considered part of the accessory, part of the principal structure.
So I'm guessing 2 things. The old patio was 15 feet off and it was raised, but it was clearly, judging by the look of it, it was substantially overweight for.
Yeah, so the old patio was,
I mean, obviously it may have predated the zoning requirement, but it would have conformed in terms of its setback.
yeah, I think it was set back beyond 15 feet. If you look at page 5, the image is number 4. The patio basically was level with the grade at when it attached to the home, so there were steps down from the home to the grade where the top of the patio was. And then the patio was leveled, you know, sloping slightly to the rear, but held back with, I believe it was railroad ties. So 3 inches probably below what the lower raised patio is today.
So you're gonna go proofs now? Is that what you wanna do?
Yeah,
All right, let's
I think-
let's go that direction.
okay. So yeah, the 2 bulk variances that we're seeking, I think both of these bulk variances can be granted pursuant to the C2 flexible standard here, where the benefits would substantially outweigh the detriments. And that there would be no substantial detriment to the general welfare or substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. So as I mentioned, the condition of the property, there was always a patio in the rear. With this proposed application, it provides an accurate exit from the home to the patio area. So there's no longer steps directly from the home down to the patio. So I think it's a safer condition walking out to the proposed patio condition. The drainage was designed to capture the stormwater runoff at the rear of the wall with the slope of the property, and does discharge out to the rear yard of the property. As you heard from Mr. Parker, I think a condition could be working with the township engineer, and if the recommendation is to add a dry well, I think Mr. Tolgency would be happy to do that as a condition with this application. With respect to the south side yard setback, again, the patio is inset 2 feet from the south side of the home. So it's at 12.15 feet. The patio itself is directly behind the home, so it's not visible from the front yard. The front of the home is actually raised up above the street too. So the patio itself isn't visible from the right of way. So really, we're looking at the impacts to the 2 adjacent neighbors. With this application, there are proposed 7 trees located along the south side yard of the property to provide a screening and buffering of that proposed raised patio area. I believe those trees are to be planted at 6 feet height, and they grow to about 10 to 12 feet, and they'll be spaced 4 feet on center. So I think it would provide a a consistent screening, blocking visibility of the raised patio area. As you could also see in the aerial images on page 3, the adjacent home to the south of the property does run deeper into the rear yard. So the proposed patio entirely is adjacent to the side of the home and not into any rear yard open spaces. So I think from a privacy standpoint, in addition to the trees that are being proposed due to the lot configurations and existing conditions of the adjacent home, I think there are minimal impacts of having a raised patio in this area that is being proposed here. With respect to FARs, I know I did mention it's below the overall FAR permitted on the property at 21.3%. That's where 26% is permitted. So the overall intensity in terms of like the bulk and really the higher standard of controlling bulk in the R4 zone is the FAR standard. So given that we do have a lesser FAR on the site, I think the intensity of the overall site is lesser than what's contemplated in the zone, notwithstanding the lot coverage variance that we're seeking tonight. As I mentioned, we do have conforming front and rear yard setbacks. And also we are below, we do exceed the required unoccupied rear yard open space area. So a lot of the coverage on this property is dedicated to the driveway. We have a full turnaround driveway that also runs into the north of the property. So that represents a coverage of over 15%, and really substantially takes up a lot of the coverage that's permitted on the property. So I think overall the compliance with the minimum rear yard unoccupied space shows overall consistency of what's being contemplated in the R4 district in terms of coverage in the rear yard area. This project does advance, in my opinion, the purposes of the municipal land use law. I do think it's an appropriate addition to the existing single-family home that will guide the appropriate use and development of the property consistent with the R4 district standards, consistent with purpose A of the MLUL. And I also think the proposed project will promote a desirable visual environment. It's proposing a new patio area with trees as screening. So I think this is a promotion of a desirable visual environment consistent with purpose I. With respect to the negative criteria, I don't see a substantial detriment to the general welfare here. A lot of times when you're speaking of coverage, and I think the chairman made this point before, we do have excessive coverage. We are managing where that stormwater is being collected and discharged to ensure that it doesn't go into the side yards. And I think a little bit of that is reflected just in the topography of the site. But as I stated, I think a condition could certainly be working with the township engineer. And if the recommendation is to add a dry well in the rear yard area where the water is being discharged, I think the property owner would be happy to do that to address any of those concerns related to stormwater management runoff. With respect to privacy and screening, I think the project's achieving that by proposing the trees along both sides of the property lines to minimize the view of the proposed patio area. And again, I think the condition of having the adjacent home run deeper into the property sort of acts as another privacy barrier where you're not overlooking the fence into a rear yard and adjacent patio or deck area on the adjacent property. So with that, I don't see a substantial detriment to the general welfare here. I likewise don't see a substantial impairment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance. I think this project is consistent with the R4 district standards. With the goal of the R4 district and several of the objectives of the master plan, including objective B, which is to protect the character of established neighborhoods. I think the proposed project and patio is consistent with the overall development pattern in the area. And as I mentioned, I think the project is minimizing any impacts to adjacent properties with the screening and stormwater detention that's being proposed. So overall, I think this project does meet the positive and negative criteria. As I mentioned, I think these bulk variances can be granted pursuant to the C2 criteria where the benefits would substantially outweigh the detriments. And with that, I believe that would conclude my direct testimony, but I'd be happy to answer your questions before my.
Can I ask this one question for clarification? So on A1, the very first page, minimum side yard setbacks, south side, you have permitted required 22 feet.
Only 15.
It's only 15. Right, because this building's up to 18, feet, right? I mean,
It's 15 feet is required.
Right. right, so you agree with that?
Yeah, we
Right.
showed 22 feet as being conservative because the overall home itself is greater than 18 feet,
Well-
but certainly the portion of the patio is less than 18 feet.
Right, so the delta for the setback is 2.5 feet.
I would agree with that.
Okay, and is there something that you can do to reduce that nonconformity? Like what's that patio, like we haven't heard anything about what that L portion is to be used for. Right? Isn't that part of the proofs?
So, yeah, I think part of the goal of having the portion of that patio raised, as I testified to, is to have an at-grade entrance to the rear of the property. But it certainly does exceed along that south property line for the rear wall. You know, I think that area is intended for grilling, possibly a table at the top of it. And just kind of direct access to the home is why that portion of the patio was proposed to be raised.
Am I correct in saying that there's a door that accesses the raised portion of the patio that's very close to the left side of the house as I face it?
Yeah, you can see it in image
So how much
4.
space is there between that door and the edge of the patio? Yeah, where the counselor's thinking about pushing it in.
Well, I'm not thinking about it.
Where you raise the edge.
Just making observations.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like 2 or 3 shingles, so it's probably less than a foot or 2 feet from the edge of the wall.
So you don't have a lot of spare there. If you walk out that door to your left, there's not a lot of spare space between where you
Yeah,
probably have some kind of fencing to prevent people from falling off the patio.
yeah, you have the 2 steps going down
Right, oh,
directly
you
at
got
the
the
edge,
stairs.
but beyond that, yeah, I think you would have some sort of railing or barrier to prevent someone from falling off.
That's actually my question. At what point do you have to terrace this? Because that's pretty tall, 23, almost 24 inches at the end. It is striking when you see it. It's kind of a cliff there. It's a 2-foot cliff. Is there a requirement to terrace any of this? These
That would
walls?
be a building code.
So that was what jumped out at me. Does this have to be terraced?
I mean, if it's gonna be railing, it's basically gonna be a deck.
It's gonna be what?
Right. If
It's
there's
gonna be a
railing,
deck. If they're gonna put railings on it, it's not gonna be a deck.
has to conform to code.
Yeah.
So if it's required, yes.
Okay, so we don't.
But
we don't-
terracing probably not, as much as it would be a railing.
Okay.
But
And-
that's, once again, that has to conform to code to get a CO.
Okay, all right, because that's not identified in these plans. And also, what, are you gonna cover this white substance with anything? It
Are you
looks
talking
like
about the base of the
the
wall?
base of the wall?
So that actually is the finished material. It's like a stone, it's like a tile,
It's a tile.
yeah, base on it.
And what's gonna go on top of the gravel?
It's the same kind of material with carry over on top.
It's a tile,
Correct.
so
Yeah,
it's
a-
permeable, it's not permeable.
No.
It's not gonna stay gravel, okay.
yeah, the intent is, it's flowed to run to the rear where the drainage would take it up.
And are there plans for railing now?
I'm not aware of that, but
Okay,
yeah, certainly we would have to meet building code. And if the board felt that a railing was necessary, and it does get steep at the rear.
Once again, that'd be up to the building department, that's not to the board. So, your distance off the property line is, 12, whatever it is, 12.15. Well, how far would you say the property line is to the neighbor's house? Like the distance between this patio to the neighbor's house is basically what I'm looking for. In your estimation, if you have it,
It looks a little further, so I would say at least 15 feet.
from the property line to their house,
Yeah,
and plus the 12 feet, so you're saying this patio sits, what, 27 feet or so off
House to house.
house,
Yeah.
from the patio to the house?
yeah, I think that's. And overall, I didn't mention this in my direct testimony, the project does meet the combined side yard setback standard. That's a 35% of the lot width, so 35 feet here. And we have. I believe we have over 40 feet, total.
The second sheet of A1, second slide.
Yep.
On the left side, we show an aerial dated March 3rd, 2024. And it looks like there are a whole bunch of mature trees separating your client's property from the property to the left. See that,
Yes.
right? Two questions. Number one is, on whose property are those trees and what types of trees are they?
Yeah, I know there were trees after discussions with my client, there were trees removed as part of a tree permit. I believe that was prior to the construction of the new patio. We do reflect 2 existing 8-inch pine trees that are further into the rear yard on our property, but beyond that, I don't think there's any existing trees on.
So if you go then to the third slide, where it looks like it's a little thinned out, all those trees on that left side are now removed?
There's trees on the adjacent property,
Okay, so that's what I'm asking.
yeah.
So those trees that we see from the aerial dated March 19th, 2025, those are trees on the neighbor's property?
Yeah, the trees on this application property don't start until after the patio. The trees between the patio and the home to the south are on the adjacent property.
But you're talking about adding some trees next to the trees on the adjacent property,
Correct.
Is that-
Along the property line, yeah,
from the patio back.
from the home to the back of the patio. So and those would be planted 4 feet on center to provide a full screening.
So just to clarify, is your testimony that there's a bunch of oaks and pines shown on the plot plan, but you're saying they were not on the property, or those are not there anymore? I'm just trying to follow.
So the two, and
With the 8-inch,
page 4, the plan image, there's 2 pine trees shown beyond the cypress trees that are being shown as proposed.
right,
Those exist on the property.
but all the
and
ones forward. There's a bunch there as well.
From
Adjacent to the house.
adjacent to home, no, those are still there as well.
Okay,
But between the patio and the side property line, there's no trees on there.
yeah, not much, because, right, I guess that was space.
So you commented about the FAR and your view that the massing of the property and the intensity of the use of the property because of the FAR was not excessive.
Yeah,
So can you just talk a little bit more, when you look at the property, what's proposed, there's an awful lot of patio in the back, there's a pool. It's a busy backyard. In terms of intensity of use, what is your perspective on that? Putting aside the FAR of the house.
yeah, so I going through the zoning ordinance and master plan, I think one of the controls of the overall intensity of rear yard areas is what I would say is a unique requirement of the unoccupied rear yard space. So as I mentioned, we do exceed that 25%, that's based on the entire lot area. So at 36%, I think we're less than what the overall intensity of a rear yard is contemplated in the R4 district. And as I mentioned, I think the coverage, even though I would admit that the patio is a big patio, it's a big pool and a big patio, a lot of the coverage comes from the driveway and the front yard. So I think the overall intensity of the rear yard is consistent with what zoning allows for.
Well, you're 43%, I'm not exactly sure that's consistent with zoning. You know,
Coverage, yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's a big number. That's a real big number. Hypothetically, what's your plan B?
If this
Like, say,
application,
yeah, say it doesn't get approved, what's the plan B? Because we obviously have something built here. Like, I was just kind of, what's the visualization like, look like?
Yeah, I mean, if the application were denied or was withdrawn, the only way we could come back to this board with a similar application is if it's substantially different. So it would have to be a substantial reduction in coverage area, removal of the side yard setback variance. So that's the only way we could get back to this board with bulk variance relief, or the other alternative is the patio, that portion of the patio that was constructed would have to be demolished. And either a conforming patio would replace it or no patio at all.
I mean, because I honestly can't remember last time that we looked at an R4 with a 42.8. And I've only been on the board for 10 years. I don't remember that. So, any other questions from the board?
I guess in terms of use, why does it have to be so large?
The
The
patio,
patio, what is the reasoning for, is there hardship or is there any explanation of why it has to be so large?
yeah, I think the topography of the site does play into it, where if you don't have a patio that levels it off, then you have a substantial slope to a grass yard area so to make the area usable is to construct a patio that is level and provides for a flat surface to, have tables and chairs and be able to host parties. So I think the slope of the site does play into that and does warrant, in a sense, a greater patio that provides that flat surface. So I think that's part of the aspect is the
And the
topography of the site.
The width,
I'm
and the
sorry.
width of it, why does it have to be so wide?
There are doors located at various points on the rear of the building, so again, it's to provide just that direct access from the home at those various locations rather than stairs down from the doors that are there.
Do you know what the slope is?
The overall slope of the property,
Yeah, you mentioned the slope is reading to the side.
yeah, so it starts at about 452 at the back of the home. And then to the rear yard, the back of the property, it goes down to 447. So it's.
That's the back of the yard, okay,
Yeah,
but
so
to
it's-
the, I guess it would be to the pool, because the pool is level, so.
So
Yeah,
4
the
feet.
pool's at 451.
And the 451, and then the house is at,
449.
452, bottom of the yard is 447. So you got a 4-foot run. Any other questions from the board? Go ahead.
Yeah, just trying to understand again in the back, so in photo 6 on page 5, that's where, there's like that door, I think that you mentioned is why we're looking for
The higher portion,
elevated.
yeah.
And then I'm just trying to reconcile with, well, what was there before, so, just trying to understand the order, and it looks like the orange and other patio did not have a door that egress. The step.
I'm not sure, I think the property owner would have to,
I'm just trying to
yeah.
understand, no, but it's over here, so I'm just trying to understand why it needs to come so close to the property line that far to the left, because it didn't look like it did before, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
Built
and-
patio and built the door. I don't know what happened.
And part of the reason like why it didn't reference the C1 criteria hardship is, can the patio be reduced? Certainly, yes.
There's other more, yeah, it means egress from the home to the patio.
Yes. Yeah, I think this was what was presented, this is what, the goal of the homeowner was.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he didn't realize the zoning and the different challenges because of topography and the old survey. And now we're at this, this point where we're asking for certainly excess of what the zoning allows for.
Sure.
So on page. Second slide of A1. You have a hatched area. To the left of the 2-story frame dwelling. I think that says porch.
Yeah,
Right.
that shows how old that survey was.
Right, so at some point, that was the porch. Right, and then do you know when the addition was put on?
I did speak with the homeowner prior to this and it was, I think somewhere shortly after that survey was taken. So,
Okay.
Well, that was like 1985, so.
correct. It wasn't constructed by the current home.
Right. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Go forward. Just name and address for the record once again. Please come forward to the podium if you could.
Ken Rempel, 27 Town Court. The house to the left, as you look at your pictures.
Thank you.
You said, I believe that at the tip on the south side, it's raised 42.5 inches from the ground. Is that correct?
The southwest corner, so the furthest corner of the patio, yes, 42 inches.
Is there at any point where the ordinance is required that if it's over 18 inches, that it's reclassified and subject to a host other set of factors?
Is subject to the principal structure setbacks, which as referenced is a 15-foot side yard setback, and the 40% rear yard setback would also be applied.
Well, principal is not the principal structure, it's 2-story. It doesn't get to glob on, does it? Does it?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Does it have to stand on its own as far as, but it's measured by what the principal is?
The principal structure setbacks, so the standard setbacks are applied to the patio area.
And wouldn't that be 22 feet?
So that was one of the things I think we discussed. 22 feet is for structures over 18 feet in height, so some of the 18 feet in height. So the home itself is over 18 feet, but the patio itself is certainly less than that.
At what level does that patio become an extension of the building as opposed to being called a patio?
I don't think it gets reclassified, it just gets the setbacks applied, which is at 18 inches above grade.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Any comments from the audience regarding this application?
I'm sorry. Ms. Edwards, do you have any more witnesses?
Oh, we do not.
Any comments from the audience? Come on forward, we're gonna swear you in, okay?
Okay,
So
I'll
please,
just get my own material.
sure, go ahead. Hang on one second, we're gonna swear you in.
Okay, Mr. Rempel, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're gonna give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
See, my name is Kenneth Rempel. And my address, once again, is 27 Talbot Court. And sitting in the audience is my wife, Joan Rempel. And I'm representing her as well as her. 45 years ago, just a couple of introductory remarks, so you know who we are and what our values are. We moved to Short Hills 45 years ago. Okay, we've lived at 27 Talbot Court for the last 33 years. My wife started Milburn Short Hills Girls Lacrosse Club when there was none. At the time, my daughter was in 5th grade, and she's now 43, and lives in town and has served on the as president of the Hartshorn PTA. She has 3 children who have attended Milburn schools, and I served on the township's Board of Education, sitting right where you're sitting now, for that tenure. I have 3 children who graduated from Milburn High. In 48 years that we had a home, been homeowners, this is the first time that we've ever had an issue with a neighbor. And it's always been cordial, work things out, things get taken care of. This is the exception. Okay? Now, it's my belief that when Mr. Tolchinsky moved in, he knew what the zoning requirements were. And he should be held to what they were. And let me explain why. And for your edification, I haven't seen the pictures you have, but I have my own set of pictures that I'd like to share with you because it kind of makes you understand my remarks a little better.
Okay, we're gonna mark this exhibit as 1.
Now, I have,
Yeah.
I only have 9, so,
That's good.
and I have one for myself, so I can look at them.
That's your deepest.
Yeah. So, you know why.
You know what, I'm just gonna take a pause just for 2 seconds. Miss Edwards, do you have an extra A1 exhibit?
Yes, we do.
That you can provide to Mr. Rempel, please?
Sure do.
And the reason why I'm suggesting that is that if he's presenting his exhibits, then he may want to compare in terms of photos or otherwise to what the applicant has provided. So,
I'm sorry, Mr.
hold on. So I believe that Ms. Edwards' team should have a copy of what we're gonna be marking. So here, I'll give up my copy.
Thank you, Mr. Stein.
I'll be grabbing one from one of you at the end of the proceedings. So what we're gonna do is, for purposes of tonight, we're gonna mark this. And it looks like it's slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? 001 is a set of 11 slides, is that correct, Mr. Rempel?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and did you create this set of 11 slides yourself?
I did.
And there are, looks like there's some aerials and some photos. Did you take these photos yourself?
Either I took them or my wife took them. The aerials I got from Google Earth.
Okay, and the photos that were taken, approximately when were they taken?
Well, this is the 5th time we've been here. My guess is we took them when we prepared for the first time.
Okay, so these photos were taken between August of 2025 and today
Yes,
at various times?
yes.
And the photos that you and your wife took, do they accurately depict the view from the various areas that are shown in this set of 11 slides?
I believe so.
Okay, so why don't you proceed?
But can I just
Yeah.
clarify something on that? The first picture where you have the side-by-side aerials, the one on the right appears to be before any of the construction.
Well, I was gonna.
Well, he said that the ones, those are the Google Earth ones that he's gonna talk about. I was just asking the
Okay,
ones
I
that
just
he and
wanna
his
get
wife actually took the picture.
I will definitely.
Okay, so why don't you go through your slides?
Okay, first, when you open it, I'm putting right up front widely exposed this, these variances. And it does impact the use and enjoyment of our property. And I'll explain that as we go through this, both visually and auditorily. And there is the potential when someone sees this, I'm gonna be kind, significantly high wall next to our house that may have a railing even taking it higher, it may affect our ability to sell the house. So I'm concerned about that.
Okay, you're not an appraiser or a realtor by trade, correct?
No, I'm a lawyer.
Okay, so as a lawyer, probably know that case law is pretty clear that to demonstrate diminution of property value or property value reduction, that the courts have established that you need to do so through a form of expert testimony, such as an appraiser, and provide before and after appraisals in terms of what the value is before the thing that made it less valuable, et cetera, and compare apples to apples. But
Just so you know, I'm not an appraiser. I'm putting this forth as we believe it might. We don't know, obviously.
okay,
First two we know. Now, on the next page, this is two old pictures put together showing from above what's occurred. Okay? The picture on the right actually is not what, doesn't go back to the very beginning, because that's not available now. So some of that area that's cleaned out next to the old porch, if you will, which you can see clearly where it is. Some of that area was bushes, trees, and so forth, providing further screening and noise abatement for us. Okay?
what was the date, Mr. Rempel, of the Google aerial photo that's on the second page,
Well, that one
on
was,
the right?
I know what you're asking. Now, that one was probably, I've taken so many photos that, it's probably taken somewhere. Well, let me first just say one thing. My wife and I in 2025 were on a trip to Peru. We had no notice of anything, and we came back. And when we got back, we were greeted by this wall next to our property. Okay, so that's May 2025. So my guess, it has to be after that, after work had already been done. Okay,
But are you talking about, we gotta make sure the record's clear, as you know.
the one on the right is 2022. I know.
That's what I was asking. Okay, so 2022 is the aerial on the right, the Google aerial.
That's,
And the one, hold on, and the one on the left, you believe is sometime in 2025.
yeah, that's more current. Okay, now, a lot of the trees on the right have been removed because they were on Mr. Tolchinsky's property. I had 3 skinny trees in that lineup, and that was on. I think you'll see them later. Picture. What's happened is on the left, you can see there's a big clearing now directly to the big wall. Okay, and the green you're seeing right next to the green wall and down, that's grass, those aren't bushes. Just to make it clear. Okay, so that's open as well. Now, if you go to the next page.
Wait,
Oh,
come on, you're so close. On the second page, when we just talked about those aerials, it also shows 3 red arrows on each slide.
mhm.
Okay, what do those represent?
I'm just trying to show the area that I'm speaking to. And what's changed in that area,
Okay,
okay, to
Got
make it clear what I'm talking about.
yep.
You go to the next page, you get a view of the side. And you can see 2 of my skinny little trees there that were left. You can see where my property line is approximately. And you can see the sight line from that particular window. It just so happens that that side of the house is where all of our living takes place. In terms of, we have people in, we socialize, we hang out. That's the side of the house. And on the next picture, I labeled it. So you can see what's there. We have a kitchen window that's affected. We have a dining room window that's affected. We have a living room window that's affected. And probably the only area of backyard we ever use is our deck, and that's a deck. Okay, so where our living occurs, it really has a huge impact on us. And I can say there's two reasons. One, it's raised significantly. And two, if you look at where he's planting his cypress trees, they're further back. He doesn't cover that hole that you see there. Look on your plans, you'll see where the cypress trees are. They're not covering that hole.
Well, it looks like 4 of the 7 are covering in a direct horizontal, right? In that
Right,
bed.
but that's, excuse me, that's further down.
Well,
It is not
1,
covering-
2,
Back
3,
into the new house.
Right, no, I'm well aware of what's not covered.
That's
I'm
because
just saying
Mr.
that-
Kolchinsky has put a gate to his fence on that side. And he has his stepping stones going down that side. And I don't think he's intending to do anything about that, and the trees start further down. And those trees are much less than what's been there when this all started. Just to give you an idea, you turn the page and look at the left. You can see right into the pool. That's the area with the chairs to the left of the wall.
So we're on slide number 5, right?
Okay, I didn't know, unfortunately.
Just trying to make a record. No, Mr. Remco.
Okay, you can see that we look right into the pool. Let me say 2 things here. I can hear very clearly from my deck now when he has groups at the pool and they're talking loudly, it reverberates on our deck. And it's an annoyance now. And I can only imagine what you do by bringing it closer and raising the height from where it's coming. It's not something I look forward to, or my wife looks forward to. Additionally, there were bushes there. We didn't see the pool before. But he took out those bushes for some reason. Okay? So I just want you to get a sense that there is, even when they're at the pool, a lot of noise.
Quick question, have you ever thought about putting more bushes on your side of the property?
We have landscape right around our deck. We have landscaping all around our deck to try both sight and sound.
We're also where your 3 skinny trees are, how about filling in there also, did you look at that, or?
He just did that. Before, I didn't, it wouldn't have solved anything.
Right.
Okay? So that just happened. And before I start spending my money, I've already spent money because of this. And before I start spending more money, I want to see what the outcome is. Okay? Which would be germane to my decision and my wife's decision. The next page, which I guess is 6.
Okay, wait, before we leave page 5, where this photo was taken by you or your wife?
I took this photo.
Okay, and when did you take it?
Probably sometime in the summer, this past summer.
Summer of 2025, and where were you standing when you took this
I
photo?
was standing at the property line, probably.
Right at the line, okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
I was not inside.
Thanks.
But we do turn to the inside on the next page. And in the front, there are 3 photos. In the first photo, that's taken from our front foyer
So the first photo, you're referring to the one on the right,
on the left.
with a table in it?
Has the table.
Okay.
And it has the chandelier.
Got it.
Okay? That's taken from our front foyer. Anybody walking in the house will have an immediate view of what's outside. Unless, as my wife has done for the last 2+ years, keeps the blinds down so she doesn't have to look at it. Okay? That's quite a view. The other two just show you from the dining area, you know, what the different perspectives are. Okay? So there is a visual there. The next page, you can see this is from the dining room window. What looks. Okay,
So this page, this photo was taken from the dining room, your dining room window?
yes,
What time of year?
well, the leaves are still on there, so my guess is it was before October and after, in July and October, sometime.
Okay, and this is, slide 7.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
The next slide is from the kitchen window. And you can see the view that we have from there. You can also see that to the very right in that picture is a storage shed, which is not mentioned at all in their plans, which is a non-conforming use as well. As an accessory. That has to be in the rear yard, is my understanding.
Are you talking about the structure on the 8th slide to the right of the air conditioning unit?
That's the one.
And then-
Now, I have to say, since he moved in, that was always right on the property line, facing him, and we saw the back, but we didn't complain. Okay, that's not the way we operate with our neighbors. But since we're looking at the whole thing now, I am pointing it out. That is a storage shed leaning against the house, which I'm sure is inside the area that's allowed. Let me make a comment about that side of the house. We speak with the old one. In 1985, that area of the house was an open porch. And what they did was they closed in the porch, made it another room, and built over it. I don't know if you remember if they had variance or not, but that's what happened with that. She also planted an enormous amount of shrubs next to it. Now, I didn't know this until this all came up. Why didn't we know this? Because it's a closed-in area of the house. We don't hear anything from inside. The character is changing now. Okay, whatever that was, that's supposed to be 22 feet. It's now 10 feet something, but we didn't care because we didn't hear anything. And it wasn't a visual problem. Now we're dealing with something that's both a visual and an auditory problem, but it's not enclosed. And I don't recall whether it was Mr. Tuchinski or whether it was there previously putting that door back to the outside off that road. I don't recall. But I just needed to point that out so you would understand. Yes, the other part is closer, but it's significantly different in its character. Okay, then on the next, if you turn the page, you get to see the whole thing in its glory. Okay, you can see how tall it is, but even on the left side, okay, you get a sense of how tall it is looking from the top. Right? And the door most to the right, I don't even know, that's not the door that we're talking about. It's further over if you follow that 27-foot expansion from the house. That certainly is a lot different than the rest of it. You know,
And these two photos that we're looking at now were taken from your property line?
they're taken from my property, I can't tell you exactly, they're taken somewhere between our house and the property line, and we have about 14 feet on our side. 14, 15, whatever,
To the actual.
to the
property.
property line. Okay? That- And finally, the last picture I'm gonna show you says it all. I don't care what's on his plan. And let me tell you why. If you look at this over here, what you see is he puts his fence up and then in a 90-degree angle comes to my fence. Prior to what we found out, he brought it to my attention, even though it's on my survey. In the back, the very back of our fence, we were 2 feet over the property line on his side. Okay? Here, we were, I forget the exact number, like 1.5 feet. There was another 1.5 feet to our property line beyond the fence. So what you see there is, some of that is on our property.
You're talking about the L, right? That sticks
Yes.
out, yeah.
Now, why do I bring this to your attention? He told us we have to move the fence. Because when he goes to sell the house, that can create a problem.
So the chain link fence is your fence?
Yes, it is. So we spent a couple of $1,000s to move the fence because he claimed it would affect his ability to sell the house. I don't know whether that's true or not, Mr. Simon, maybe he needs an appraiser to tell him that. I'm not,
Is there a railroad tie like wall in there?
yep, there is,
And that's yours or his?
that's, part of it is ours. If we go on an angle 20 feet down before the fence is, if you will, right in the middle.
So did you move this fence?
We moved the rear,
Okay,
okay, the part that, of ours that was over the line,
right, okay.
okay? We moved it. Because it wasn't worth the grief. But we were getting. Now, I can sit here, and I was talking about 42 inches. Because my understanding, Mr. Simon, you have a lot more experience than I do. My understanding is that takes on the character of the building it's attached to. Because it's greater than 18 inches. It's not patio. It is part of the building. It's an extension. And if you look at the rules of a building, they're quite different. And that's what caused the initial problem. When we came home from South America, we went and talked to the people who handle that for you guys, for the town. And they then came out and looked at it, and they said to me, that's a building. That came across. An extension of the house itself. And the rules that it had to follow, which the initial plan did not, was that of a building. They didn't show it was going to be raised on that initial application. They gave you the 1985 survey. They didn't show that. It's been trickery all along on what they've shown you. The way they label things. If you notice, the current survey we got, which is from August 2025, they didn't provide us the actual survey itself. Okay, and my question is, why not? Do they have, is there more information on that survey that we're not seeing? That is critical here.
Well, let me just kind of nip that. Mr. Parker, who signed his plan, his variance map, states on note 2 that boundary location and topographic information obtained from a survey prepared by Canfora Surveying Inc. Mr. Canfora is a New Jersey land surveyor with a license dated May 31st, 2024. So
Respectfully, Mr. Simon,
what's that?
as an attorney, I've seen a lot of certifications from attorneys that don't contain accurate information. That's all I'm saying.
All right, well, you had an opportunity to cross-examine Mr.
And I'm
Parker
not,
about the survey.
I'm not
so-
asking you that.
Okay.
All right, if it was available, I would like to see it, that's all I'm saying to you. Okay, and when you talk about the increases here, you're talking about an increase of 18% in your coverage of a lot. I don't just take the difference, I said, how much is it increasing by? And that's an 18% increase versus what they say the existing is to the complaint. Right? That's a different way to look at it. If you look at the side yard, which my interpretation is supposed to be, it's subject to the 22-foot side setback. And now they're talking about 12.15. You're talking almost double. You know, almost 100% in moving it over. I'm gonna use the term diminution of the setback requirement. Okay? So I'm gonna point that out. Now, the question, we heard that this is good for the community when you look at the test. Well, is there negative, is it negative to the public good? I'm gonna argue yes, it is. Because, well, we represent the public good the way we are. R4 zoning has certain objectives. Okay, and if you look at one of the pictures here, look at the difference between the houses. Look at the difference between the space. And that's the fourth slide. Look at the difference between the space of a house, from his house to the one on the right. And his house to that one. I mean, that tells you a big story. Okay? Now, is it a hardship for us? Well, I tried to lay out the case for you why it's a hardship. But it's also a hardship for the community. How do you dilute the setbacks? If people can go in and do what they want and come here and then are able to maintain what they have. The character of R4 is distinct from R3, which is distinct from R5. And those setbacks establish what the character of R4 housing is. And I think you're going down a road in this case law in this, where it's a dangerous road where you can wipe that difference out by allowing an increase in increase. So I'm telling you, I'd be happy to take your questions. Whatever you.
Do you have anything to say here?
But it would be questions for Mr. Rempel, and also Ms. Edwards should have an opportunity to ask questions.
Anything from the board?
So just to clarify, the applicant did not speak to you about this project. It was a complete surprise to you.
Well, we came back from South America and it was done.
So the answer is no, he didn't speak to you about it, that was done. Thank you.
Any other questions?
May I ask when Mr. Lindsay moved to this location? Is that a proper question to ask?
I'm not sure he's gonna know the answer, but you can ask him. Ask him.
I don't know the exact time. It was 2-3 years ago, maybe a little longer in that range.
Any other questions?
No, just saying thank you for bearing this. It's helpful to understand.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience have any, I'm sorry, Counselor, do you have any questions you would like to ask us?
No questions.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience have any comments they would like to say regarding this application?
Can I say one thing?
Come on forward, we'll swear you in.
please make room for the next witness, please. Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give tonight, is truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please state your name and address for the record.
Geraldine L. 27 Town Court.
What's your first name, I'm sorry?
Like Cheryl with a J, Jeryl. That's why our kids have good plain names.
Go ahead.
The only thing I wanted to say is, in terms of some of the drainage stuff already, we quietly spent over $3,000 because on the down part from like near our kitchen and going down got completely flooded out as this project had been embarked on, and we just quietly took care of it. We never said anything. We just fixed it because we didn't want our back lawn completely ruined. And the other thing was, it does bother me that for 2 years I can't open the kitchen shade or the dining room shade, and that used to be the daylight that we had. It's upsetting. That's it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So are you saying that the flooding problem got worse? Or did you ever have a flooding problem before? And is it just standing water along the side of the house?
Well, if there's a slope, so what happened is that from that area, it came down and it eroded that area, and I wish I had that whole picture of, we really try and take care of our property, and we'll be very much landscaping. You know. It's, yes, we just quietly took care of it, we didn't say anything, it's better now, we have to go it back, and we just did it. It'll make it a That's it.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you so much. Any other comments from the audience? Good, some?
Yes, please. Keep it concise. So we appreciate the Rempels comments. Appreciate them coming. We actually sent a notice, we wanted the opportunity to meet with them in advance of the hearing. But they declined to meet with us. It would have been nice to have been able to talk about these issues in
Well, when
advance.
did you send the note to them?
When did we do it? It was right after we were last here, so it would have been August of 2025. I could document that.
Okay,
with
just
email.
curious, I just trying to get a date.
Yeah, right after we were here, the first time, we reached out and asked for a meeting, and that request was declined. Like I said, it would have been nice to have had the opportunity to talk about, these issues. Certainly, we want them to, enjoy their home, comfortable in their home. We would be happy to, as a condition of any approval that the board might see fit to grant us, we would be happy to add additional screening. The photos of the view from their windows are enlightening. Again, we could have addressed this 6 months ago. We certainly are amenable to working with our neighbor. So we would like the opportunity to better screen our patio.
Well, that's kind of vague. So where do you want to go from here?
Where do we want to go from here? Well, we would like, we could informally discuss a landscape plan here at board level, or here this evening, or
I'm not
we
sure
could.
that's the right venue for that, but I think we would want to see a full landscape.
Fair enough, We can
not a
certainly-
kind of a loose discussion.
Yep, understood. We can certainly do that. We can get a landscape architect,
I
to,
still think we need to discuss the, you know,
Mm.
the actual variance really sought, so.
good. Good. I do want to point out that we've certainly tried to permit our improvements. This is not a situation, and boards have the situation where somebody tries to circumvent the permitting process altogether and winds up in a situation like that. That's not us. We did apply for permits. There was some confusion there. Perhaps we contributed to it unwittingly, wasn't intentional. But nevertheless, we find ourselves here and we have a neighbor here who is upset and we got a permit for our fence.
Counselor, the rule of holes when you're in one, stop digging, right?
You know, when you have to acknowledge conditions like the ones that we have when we're looking out the windows of our neighbor's house, we have to acknowledge that. We want to make it right. We wanted to make it right 6 months ago. We just didn't know about this 6 months ago. But we want to make it right.
All right, so I think at this point, we will, we'll close the public portion, we'll deliberate.
Okay.
And then you can decide where you'd like to go from here.
Well, wait, hold on. If we're gonna deliberate, if the board's gonna deliberate, the board's gonna deliberate and vote. If the decision of the board is to have, you know, just to have comments and, you know, take straw poll or something like that, that's different.
Well,
That
okay,
may be where you wanna
that's
go.
where I was
I
going.
just wanted to,
Correct.
just to clarify.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Okay. So that's what you'd like us to sit down and,
Yeah, with your comments.
fair enough.
Then I will close the public portion. Board members, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll start. I came in here on the fence. I don't want to, you know, no pun here intended. I hate situations where we get presented with something that's 90% done and it's far over the numbers. Council just testified that nothing intentional was done here. To me, using a 1985 survey to develop numbers, that doesn't even show the existing building, it reeks of carelessness. Now, we can say there's nothing intentional there, but calculating a set of numbers there that were well over, you know, anything that's, that doesn't need a variance, and it gets discovered because of neighbor complaints. I have a lot of problems.
So can I ask Rob, and I think I know the answer to this, but are we allowed to take into consideration the fact, if we were to determine the applicant were at fault, forget intentional or otherwise, but at fault, are we allowed to consider that in making the decision about whether to grant this variance or not?
So I've counseled the board in the past on that issue.
I think everybody needs to be clear.
That's a great question, it's awesome. So, when I've done it in the past, and I'll do it here, it's that if it's determined that there's some sort of zoning violation that results in either a warning, fine, municipal court, what have you, this board is not an enforcement agency. We have no power to enforce the ordinance. We just call balls and strikes with regard to variance applications. And that sometimes involves site plan. And that's it. So while an applicant may come in asking for forgiveness instead of permission, and it does not feel good, that regardless of whether someone's telling the truth or not telling the truth, I've always advised my boards to kind of put your blinders on and just look at the proofs that are presented and make a determination as to, we'll get to it in a moment, as to positive and negative criteria for the variances sought. And they have to rise and fall with their proofs. But you can't say, well, you know, I'm on the fence, but because, you know, I think that somebody is a bad actor, I'm gonna vote, you know, no, because I don't believe them. Now, you can certainly, as a board, assess a witness's credibility in determining, you know, whether you believe that they've met their burden of proof. But, you know, I think that until I see a case that says that, you know, you can lean a certain way based on somebody coming in for forgiveness, and you have to, you know, you have to leave it to the enforcement officials to, and I've been involved in plenty of cases where folks are in municipal court and the fines are $500 a day. And the prosecutor and the judge say, you better get to the Board of Adjustment, toot sweet, and file your application. We're gonna hold this for 30 days and I wanna see you back here in 30 days after you've gone to the Board of Adjustment for relief. But that's not our job to handle. If that answers your question.
So getting to the criteria here, assuming this doesn't exist, let's say this is a new fresh application, we're not looking at a structure that's, you know, 3/4 done here. I don't agree with the C2 criteria that was put forward here, that somehow this lot should absorb 42.8% lot coverage. We have a conforming lot, there's no hardship as per the lot. So I really would struggle, just if this was said as a clean slate offering in front of us, I'd really struggle to say, why do we need a patio this large in a lot that's conforming in size with no hardship for the property? So I think that's where I struggle most with this, that this would be a big ask if this just came in front of us clean, getting all the other drama associated with it. So that's sort of where I am on this. So I don't think I'd support this application if it just came in front of us organically. And of course, you have all the other contributing factors that we're here tonight looking at a patio that's almost done, but that being said, I would support it.
Yeah, I think I echo that, pretty much that same sentiment. I mean, and adding, you know, when I think of the support, you know, I don't know if it's where to David's point, 718 was approved was the first note I had, and I don't know if I have the numbers correct, but I noted that 718 was approved, and then an additional on top of the 718, another 900 was built. So I understand that we didn't realize and there was something miscommunicated, sure, and again, you know, to council's point, that's not what we're here to deliberate on. But I think coming with that and then hearing that the C variance, you know, testimonies that there's no substantial detriment and it's, you know, going to promote desirable visual, you know, consistent with our master plan, I'm finding inconsistencies with that, you know, that this application is not living up to those criteria.
So I always need a little help with this because I'm one of the newer members of the board, but granting a variance, we have to balance positive and negative criteria, right?
Well,
The pros and
so,
cons of the application.
right, so this is a C2, what's called a flexible C2, which is the proofs that were presented or at least attempted to be presented. And, you know, it is a determination of whether the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments. Now, there's a seminal case called the Kaufman case that I like to.
Benefits and detriments to who?
To the community.
Master plan, zoning plan.
Community, and so there's a case called the Kaufman case, Kaufman versus Planning Board. And the Kaufman case stands for the proposition in the context of a C2 application, which this is, that the project needs to represent a better zoning alternative for the property. Right? Like, why is this better for the community? Right? And that goes to the purposes of zoning, and it goes to assessing The negative criteria, no substantial detriment to the neighbors and no substantial impairment to the master plan and zoning ordinance. And you balance those, but I think that the board needs to, always for a C2 case adhere to the Kaufman case, which is, does the project provide a better zoning alternative for the property and for the community?
Okay. So since we're talking, I'm just saying that I don't see a lot of benefit to the community, this project, but I see a lot of detriment. I believe the next door neighbor is included in the community. And there have been times in my life when next door neighbors wanted to do something, and they usually came to me first and talked about it and made sure that everything was going to be fine, no negative benefit. So it's a neighborly thing to do, but it's also a very good thing to do legally. It wasn't apparently it wasn't done in this case. And it's something was built that does not, in my mind, seem to help the community in any way. That's just my.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's nothing new to add, as the chairman mentioned, for me, 42.8% of such a large, lot area is very busy at the back, and I do not see, a reason why the patio needs to be that large, right? And, looking at, the plan, the way the property is situated, I feel like, yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at this for, as is a fresh application, be like, we do not need to have it so large, you can push it back and have, no reason to have that site, fit back to be my, opinion. So I will not be, supportive of that.
So Counselor, I think simple math tells you you're not getting in the end zone. So, what would you like to do?
So we, without having had the opportunity to speak with my client and the other consultants, I believe we're going to ask for a continuance to a new date, and we're going to regroup and come back with an alternate proposal.
Okay, what does that look like?
Looks like sometime in June.
Okay, do we have a date?
We have two dates in June, June 8th, June 22nd.
Okay, so
Those are the first available,
Yes.
Eileen, June 8th
June
and
8th and 22nd.
22nd. June 8th and 22nd. Okay. Mr. Bellamy's,
So let's go with the 8th. If something changes, obviously.
Mr. Bellamy's expecting a child.
Yeah, so I guess,
About that time,
yeah,
so
so
the 22nd?
22nd is better, you said?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think the 8th is better. All right, let's do the 22nd. So, this case will be moved to June 22nd. There'll be no further notice. Any of the changes will be sent to town hall. Make sure you have any plans or anything in, at least 10 business days prior.
Yes, absolutely.
And, that will do it.
Thank you for your time tonight. We appreciate your attention to our presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again in June.
Great, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break and then we're gonna get into our next. No. 225, continued from 1/12/26, 52 Wellington. Good evening.
Good evening.
You're all previously sworn, so you're under oath. No, you're previously sworn, so.
Yeah, yes.
You're good to go.
This was a carryover from January 12th, 2026.
Yeah.
Um,
You take the board, feedback and then we hire,
Okay. Who wasn't here? I just want to get a vote now.
Wow.
In my notes,
No, this.
Obviously, right,
um,
so you're not gonna be voting on it.
Roy obviously was not
Yeah.
here. Let me see, Regina was here, okay, Beth was here, Regina was here, Gary was here, Yelena was here, Craig was here, and David was here.
So
Didn't
Stephen
call your
wasn't?
name.
I was here.
Not on January 12th, you weren't here the first meeting of the year,
No, I wasn't.
no, that's when this was,
Okay,
right? Yeah. January
right, so
12th.
Stephen and Roy are linked to that,
Correct.
they're not available. Guys, you will not be able to vote on this.
4, 5, 6. So,
Two.
right, so six members were eligible to hear, deliberate, and vote on the application. It's an FAR variance, required 5 affirmative votes. So you would need to go 5 or 6 to get an approval. And you also have the option to carry the meeting and present when there's 7 eligible board members. You can present now if it's okay with the board, and then the matter can be carried for purposes of deliberation. Vote is really up to the chair.
Yeah, we leave the opportunity to, we want to present.
I would recommend doing that, so.
Thank you. I'm gonna hand it over to, Jim Doyle.
Great.
Thank you, Chair. You may recall, the architect of record, James Ramsall, Fury Architects, after hearing.
And you're, as Chairman said, you still are considered sworn.
Yes, thank you. After our January 12th meeting, it's taken under the advisement of not only chairman, it was clear that we needed to retain a planner who will be sworn in, and have fine, to be clear, myself. And what we did do, as we were trying to squeeze the project down as tight as we could, we have been able to, from the January 12th meeting to this meeting, reduce the several of the items further. FAR, total building coverage. And in addition, we believe we've got a project that at least is reasonable. While it still requires an FAR variance, we've taken our last presentation, we're at 39.99%. We're now at 38.23%, 32%, excuse me. And as a result of that, I think what we were able to do by taking some square footage out of the first floor area, as well as we did wanted to maintain, my client did want to maintain part of the mudroom, so we reduced the mudroom a little bit. So that gave us a little bit more square footage with them out of the second floor. We took out the balance, so we still have a net reduction of about 1.67% from our last meeting. In addition to that, we have the maximum building coverage. We were at 25.17%. Our building coverage now is 27.95, and why is that? That's because we put the mudroom back into the application, so there obviously that increased the building footprint coverage from where 23 is permitted. We were at 25.17 existing.
No, hold on, sorry, hold on. Maximum building coverage, what you had proposed was 27.72%. I believe, and now you're at 27.95%.
27, I think actually that might be.
Correct?
That's the only.
No, I think
It's
that's
You got it,
21.
that was-
I'm just going
On
from
this,
what he
it's
has testified.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're actually, the total building coverage, that 27.21%, so that's actually
27.2.
for the record,
2-1.
0.21, so it's actually been reduced.
Okay.
But, so, those two coverages, we also have, as a result of conversations with the homeowner, and I'm just gonna present, go back to the T1 sheet, which is the site plan. Because the current driveway is only a single car wide and we have a relatively tight front yard setback, what we did was we were seeking to expand to a 2-car wide driveway, so we could at least bring 2 cars in off the street. From that perspective, doesn't require variance, but it's there because I wanted to make sure we had that for the record. As far as the site plan is concerned. The second floor, as I stated earlier, the second floor was reduced. What we did was we took a bathroom out of the second floor and we put a laundry room up there as a result. So we still have some space, but the net result was a reduction in the total square footage of the second floor in that particular area. So in summary, I'll be certainly happy to present any of the architectural plans if anyone of the board would like to see them. But I'm just giving you.
It's a nip and tuck,
It's a nip and tuck.
What was your square footage initially, that you were at, the original application? I don't.
Way back in the,
Well, like, let's put it this way, where you testified last time, you were.
oh, the original application, we were at, well, let me go to my map over here.
Originally, the 45 for,
What about it? What about it?
No, I could have on this by that. We're talking about the January,
Yeah, January square footage,
Yeah.
your overall square footage.
the January square footage, we were at, I have to have those drawings right here, so I have to
Sure.
go back to my page. Okay. Your question is building coverage?
Correct.
Okay. Building coverage was at 1878, is 27.72%.
Right, and now you're 1843.
Yes.
What was your floor area ratio back then?
Floor area ratio was 39.99,
Square footage?
and the square footage was 2709.
27, okay.
Okay. Next question?
Any other questions?
Quick question,
Yes.
so what a charming neighborhood, if your garage, how come the garage wasn't attached to the house when you had this this old variance back in 2016?
Well, back, I think it was 2016, the homeowner had sought a variance for and had added the
The
detached garage.
attached garage, just wondering
Yes.
why it wasn't attached, because everyone in the neighborhood has an attached garage.
Well, you have to speak to the homeowner on that.
Okay,
The
just
prior-
wondering,
the prior architect
just-
chose to just put, the other thing that I know of is that the garage was underneath the basement. So to remove, away from the
they moved
basement.
it out,
So we moved it out, so we created a on-grade
Oh.
garage, which makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
And I guess once upon a time, there could have been a reason for making the attachment, but that wasn't done at the time. But in this particular
okay, I
application.
was just wondering why they
makes
didn't
sense to
attach
do
it in the
that.
first place, okay, thanks.
So, I'm just gonna basically, be certainly happy to answer any questions.
So any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience, regarding this application? Okay,
In this case, I'm gonna ask, our planner to go up and identify
great.
himself.
So you're new, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna swear you in.
Raise your right hand, you solemnly swear from the testimony you give tonight, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please state your name, address, and affiliation.
My name is Thomas Ricci, last name is spelled RICCI. I'm a professional planner with Stonefield Engineering Design. And our business address is 92 Park Ave, Rutherford, New Jersey. I'm the applicant's planner.
Mr. Ritchie, your qualifications, please, if you could.
Sure. Licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I'm also nationally certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have testified on front of this board before, as well as over 100 other land use boards throughout the state of New Jersey. Licenses and certifications are in full force and effect.
Thank you very much. Your qualifications are accepted. Please proceed.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna recap a little bit about the application in general, without going too far into the specifics. So this is really, it's an application for single family addition. We're in the R6 residential zone, it's permitted use, and the area is all single family dwellings. You're in your typical single family neighborhood. Now the applicant's home is a Tudor style dwelling. And typically Tudor style dwellings have very steep roof pitches. So the proposal is basically to, and I'm gonna share an exhibit that was a photo exhibit that I believe was previously presented, just so I can refer to the top photos of the existing dwelling. So really the gist of the application.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Sure.
This is the photo board, with the elevations in the center. Right?
Correct.
So we mark that as P1. For reasons I don't need to get into. So were you referring to P1 for your testimony?
That is correct.
Go ahead.
And in P1, the top 3 photos show the existing dwelling. The nature of the application is essentially add a second story addition and fill in some of the space around the roof lines and where the chimney is. If you notice on the architectural elevations, the highest point of the roof never actually goes beyond the height of the chimney. So I'll refer us back up to this top photo. Once again, it's essentially filling in a lot of the negative space or the void along these roof lines and along the chimney. And that's really what creates the FAR variance. So we're here tonight for D4 FAR variance. 36% is permitted and 38.32 is what's being proposed. That has gone through a series of revisions, basically trying to balance, the applicant's needs for their home and also trying to respect the zoning ordinance. So 38.32 is what we're presenting today. Now this is lesser than your typical, the threshold of approval is lesser than your standard D1 use variance because the use is allowed. So the focus is really on the increase in the FAR. Particularly, we look to the Randolph Town Center case. That's what the New Jersey courts have found as the appropriate threshold for FAR variances. And pretty simply put, it's can the site continue to be, can the site accommodate the problems associated with a little bit more floor area? In this case, the increase to 38.32% FAR. So in non-residential applications, a lot of these theoretical issues relate to intensity. FAR is very typical control for commercial buildings because they regulate how many customers you can fit in a building, how many desks you can fit in an office building, how much traffic would go to a site. In residential applications, the intensity, we understand that you're building more building massing, which is compliant with the height, but the intensity really remains the same. It's still a single family dwelling here. So it's really an internal metric on this interior space of the building. But I would say that the one most common problems that we can focus on or that we run into with FAR applications, specifically with residential, is how does this building mass look with the surrounding buildings? Are we building a home that's significantly larger than the surrounding homes, and would it would it be something that would be out of character? That's usually the most common problem with FAR applications for residential. So we looked at this, and I'm going to pass out. I have a 24x36 exhibit, and I'm going to pass out the same exhibit, but in handout form. Thanks.
Okay, so we're gonna mark this as P3.
So while I am passing these out, for the record,
Is this a colored, what is it? This is a colored aerial?
this is an aerial, and it shows the FARs in the surrounding neighborhood. It was prepared by my office, and it's dated March 12th, 2026. Thank you.
I was like, well, this is like fun. Right.
Oh. So we need to say sorry. I was overwhelmed by the color. And I'm sticking to that, by the way.
So I'll start with the colors. So the colors, basically red is a non-compliant FAR in the neighborhood, per the zoning, and green is our dwellings that do comply. I fully acknowledge that these homes were built, or it's highly likely that these homes were built prior to the modern zoning ordinance. But I like to use this as a baseline so I can understand what's happening in the neighborhood and what the prevailing FAR is. Just a quick little background on how we do this. We start with the imagery, which we use a company called Nearmap. It's highly detailed imagery. We scale it into AutoCAD, and then we measure the building footprints based on that area. And then we take those building footprints and lot areas, we cross-reference it with the tax card, tax records from the town, and we can get the square footage pretty close to what's exists on the property. Once again, a lot of these homes were built in probably the 30s. We don't have the site plans, but we can, we can get the square footage pretty close to what's existing. So
What's the plus or minus, do you think? Because there clearly has to be a plus or minus.
plus or minus,
Like, is it 1%?
yeah, so if I'll like what the average
What the
FAR
model-
is.
No.
What the model produced.
How close you are to what it really is, if you look at, tax records.
I would say less than 100 square feet, like, we could get it pretty close. So if these dwellings are 25, 26, 2,700 square feet, we get it within 100, because the property card, it tells you all of the areas that they assessed. And we subtract out things that aren't included in FAR. We calculate things that are included in FAR. We cross-reference that. Like I said, we scale the area as best as we can, and then we measure the building footprints, and we can get it pretty close. Like I said, it's not a site plan, it's not an architectural plan, but we can,
Well, 100 on 2,500 square feet is 4%.
it's 4%. Yeah. So I do have these ones in light colored red. There are 30, it'd be 29 Canterbury, it's 36.8%. I have it as a non-compliant, but I do want to, that's kind of one that I would say is too close to call. And then once again, 60 Wellington is 36.1%. But I will say, for the purposes of this exhibit, we see 40s and up to 50s. I mean, these are much higher than the 36 that's allowed by ordinance. So if we look to the right side, I got some numbers here. I'll start with the FAR analysis. The neighborhood average is 42%, and the neighborhood median is actually 44%. And once again, proposed is 38.32. So substantially lower than the average and the median in the neighborhood. And then we kind of took it one step further. We looked at the home size in the area. Now home size is not going to be proportionate like FAR is to your lot area. It's just the size of the home, irrespective of the lot area. And we see the same trend. Neighborhood average, 2,751.3 square feet. Neighborhood median, 2,685 square feet. And we're 25.96. So just kind of an extra safety blanket. We're not only proportionate to our lot size, lower than the FAR in the neighborhood, but we actually, this proposed building or proposed dwelling, is smaller than the average size homes in the area. So the question is can the site accommodate the issues associated with an increased FAR? As I mentioned, it's not something that's, it's still a one-family dwelling. It's not changing the use. It's in line with the neighborhood character. I think it's actually a little bit less, as we see based on the exhibit, than the existing zoning scheme out in the neighborhood. So I do think that it absolutely can accommodate any of the issues associated with the increased FAR. I think a big thing to note is that it's compliant with the height too. So it's not a dwelling that's substantially taller or even out of zoning compliance. It complies with the height. We're seeking a C variance for the building coverage. Now, C variances are treated under a different standard. The board can look at the C variance in two ways. The C one way would be if there's a hardship, and the C two way would be that the benefits of the project substantially outweigh the detriments. And I think that the C variance for building coverage could be granted under that C two benefits versus detriments. So 23% is permitted and 27.21% is proposed. The building coverage increase comes from the area, I'll flip back to the plans. Really, it's driven by the space in between the garage, the existing garage and the existing dwelling. I mean, we're putting the second story addition, and in order to do that, they're filling in the space between those two structures, which, as the board member brought up, I think is a really good point, is connecting the garage to the actual dwelling, which is every garage that I saw in this area was incorporated into the dwelling. So that is something that is being increased, but I think once again, it's substantially similar to what we see as the prevailing characteristic in the area. So that's the positive criteria of the variances. Now the negative criteria, it's a two-pronged test. That there won't be substantial detriment to the public good or substantially impair the purposes and intent of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. So starting with the master plan or the zone plan, I found some goals that were, I think, very relevant to this application. On page 48, recommendation 3, it says evaluate as necessary the effectiveness of existing land use regulations to ensure that new development and additions to existing homes are compatible with the prevailing neighborhood context. Specifically, review the R6 zoning to ensure that new construction is not excessively bulky in relation to the existing neighborhood context. And I think we align with that goal. We look at the neighborhood. There are homes that are a little bit larger than what's being proposed here. And I don't think that we're proposing anything that would be out of character in this section of this R6 zone. With regards to going against the zoning or the zoning scheme, once again, I think the exhibit pretty much tells the story of what's happening out here. We're in line with the character of the neighborhood, or even less than those medians, than the median average in the zone. So I don't think that it goes against the R6 zone. Now, interestingly, the purpose of the R6 zone actually says to provide a range of lot sizes for single-family dwellings. The development of vacant lands in these predominantly built-up neighborhoods shall be compatible with existing development patterns. So once again, the intent of the R6 is make sure that development is compatible and within the context of the neighborhood. And I think we have that, we've seen that here in the exhibit. So I think we're aligning with the R6. We're respecting what the master plan is trying to prevent, this overdevelopment in single-family neighborhoods. So I don't see a substantial detriment to public good or to the zone plan and the zoning ordinance. So those are the positive and negative criteria aspects of the application. I think that the C variance could be granted under the C2 benefits versus detriments criteria. We have a more functional, usable home that's more in line actually with the aesthetics and massing of the neighborhood. And then I think with regards to the D variance, can the site accommodate any potential issues? I think we absolutely can here. It's a really modest increase. It's going to have more functional space. It's not increasing the intensity. It respects the height restrictions. So I think this is an application that can be improved. So that's all I offer the board, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the board?
You know, are those houses, those number above the ordinance now, they all added after, or they initially built as that big?
It's hard to tell. I tried to look at a lot of these houses and search back for previous approvals. It only goes back so far. They're big colonials. They look like they were built in that configuration, in that size. And that was probably pre-zoning ordinance. When I looked at the historic imagery of this area, a lot of these homes were built in like 1935. And the footprints are the same as what they are out there now.
Yeah, we don't see a ton of applications here, and that's maybe why, like in this area,
Yeah, 'cause they-
you know, because they were built out
Yeah,
like back then, probably all the way out.
yeah.
There's no more room.
Yeah, there's there's no more room.
Right.
Yeah, we already
So,
know.
any other questions? Any questions from the public? I'm sorry, did you?
Yeah, I have a minor one. You're aware of this, right? Your bedroom 3 has to walk all the way through bedroom 2 to get into the bathroom?
Yeah. Allow me to,
This seems a little odd. It's not a, it's not a
That's so funny.
decision point or anything,
Wow.
I don't think.
I don't, bedroom 3, here,
Yeah,
there's a wall here, well, it's light, it's a hall, that's a hallway,
it's a hallway.
yes.
To get to the bathrooms, you have to go through one of the other
No,
bedrooms.
well, thank you for that
They're okay
clarification.
with that?
The homeowner, yes, we had originally
I know.
had a bathroom here,
Yeah, I saw
and
you.
we do have a full bathroom on the first floor. So the homeowner said that's acceptable then because it was more important to have the laundry. We actually had the laundry tucked over here in the corner. We made a legitimate
Look it
space out of it.
Oh, wow.
Just looking out for it.
Thanks for noticing.
Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Or? Anything further?
I think we made our presentation and the board.
So just, because again, we have 6 eligible voting members and it's a FAR variance. Would you like the board to deliberate and vote on the application?
I believe the answer would be yes. I personally haven't heard any commentary from the board. I'm not the attorney, but
That's part of the question.
Yes.
You usually make the decision now whether you want the board to deliberate and vote or not. Given the fact that you don't have a full complement of 7 board members to get 5 affirmative votes, you'd have to go 5 for 6 instead of 5%.
I
Do
understand.
you want to ask your client and make a decision on that?
Would you like?
I don't like the same. I don't like the eating it.
Okay.
It's sort of.
No, you're not. No, we're done. We're done. We're gonna go 5. We're gonna. So you're. That's fine.
You have to listen. Yeah, right.
Listen,
I probably sort of, that's how I used to do it prior to.
that, I've listened.
I think based on, let me stand up. I think based on the fact that we've heard the board in the past, we obviously are represented by a planner. I think it's given a significant amount of testimony. I think the homeowner is prepared for us to proceed.
Very well, cool. Then I'll close the public portion. Board members, your thoughts?
I'll go first. I drove by your house this afternoon and it actually was striking to me that it's so much smaller than all the other houses in the neighborhood. It's like, oh, it's a cute little cottage, beautiful, charming neighborhood. I love it. And I appreciate, first of all, I appreciate this. That was pretty cool. It does look like your house, even visually, without having the numbers, is anecdotally smaller than the others in the neighborhood. And I appreciate that you've listened to what we had to say and you modified your architectural plans to come down. I would be comfortable supporting this.
Second.
I like this a lot too, and even if I adjust everything for 3.7 or so % in the wrong direction, you still look okay. And I appreciate the fact that you listened to the previous meeting and made some adjustments. My bedroom comment aside, I feel like you've done what you.
So I struggle when I see an oversized lot for the zone, this one is substantially oversized and we're still looking at an FAR, but I think the lot can accommodate a little bit more, even though you're getting advantage of that extra 700 square feet on the lot. You're still going above and beyond that. But I think it's done in a way that's not going to be super impactful on the street and it's not going to be so imposing on the neighbors. So I would support the application.
I agree.
In that case, do I have a motion?
I'll second it.
And this is a motion to approve both the FAR variance and the building coverage.
Yes.
Correct, thank you.
David Bradford,
Yes,
Gary Rosen,
Yes.
Benita True,
Yes.
Beth Zoll,
Yes.
Neil Roberts,
Yes.
Craig Whitman.
Yes, good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Next up and last this evening, calendar 406926, 25 seconds. Come on down.
I know, I had videos on this one.
No.
No, not. No.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think I put it.
I don't see it, maybe it's. I gotta go.
That's.
Good evening. Who we speaking this evening? Both of you?
Well, I'm the architect, is the owner. So I don't know.
All right, so we'll swear you're both gonna talk in? We'll swear you both in, that's my point, okay? So.
So who do we have tonight?
I'm the homeowner, my name is Sam Dean.
Okay, and you are?
My name's David Andriola, an architect.
Okay, so both of you raise your right hand. Solemnly swear from the testimony you give tonight's truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay, please, state your name and address for the record.
Samson Yang, 25 Cypress Street.
David Andriola, New Jersey Business Address, 713 Kearney Avenue, Kearny, Kearney, New Jersey, 07032.
Okay,
All right, so who would like to speak first?
I'll speak first.
Been on your qualifications, so why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
I've been practicing architecture since 2005. I've been licensed since 2016. I own and operate ED Andriola LLC, which started in 2016. I've been licensed since then, licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania in good standing. I haven't been in front of this board, but I have been in front of numerous boards previously, such as Caldwell, Mountainside, Westfield, Hanover Township, Addison, Broadway, and Chester.
Thank you, your qualifications are accepted, please proceed.
We are presenting a proposal of a small addition to a property in the R6 zone. Currently, the lot, it's 5,000 square feet. So it's 1,000 square feet under the minimum lot size. Same thing with the lot width. The existing lot width is 50 feet, whereas the required is 60 feet. So right off the bat, for the modest addition that I'm going to walk you through, those are the main things that are really hurting us in terms of building coverage, FAR, and combined side yard setback. So I guess just to walk through the plan on the first floor, what we're doing is we're proposing to round off the left rear corner just to make the living room a little bit bigger.
What's your, like, one for that regard?
Yeah, I didn't know if I could walk away from the mic.
That's no problem.
We're right here, this is the existing sort of L shape. We're rounding off this corner here just to expand the living room. On the second floor, directly above that, there's existing 3 bedrooms. It'll still be an existing 3 bedrooms, but over the existing office and expanded living space, we're gonna do a nice master bed to make it an official master suite on that left side of the house. In doing so, in elevation. In the front elevation, right now, the little office in the front left part of the house, it's a one-story area, so now it's two. But if you look at the massing of the house as a whole, we're still conforming to the setbacks on the left side of the house where the addition is. And we're also angling the roof, keeping it two floors only, and maintaining the height restriction where it comes from 18 feet up and you have to slope back 0.3 for every foot. So we're maintaining that in terms of the height. And by default, it also kind of keeps the scale and massing of the house in line with existing. Right now, it has a finished attic space, and that's what this big dormer is here. So there's an existing finished attic. And when you calculate, I guess, the square feet of that, the areas of that attic where the ceiling height is more than 7 feet tall, it's adding to the FAR. But with this, it kind of, because this part is still lower than that part, I think it still keeps balance of the house without making it look like an enormous type of addition. In my opinion, it's not something that is visually unappealing in any way. And because it's keeping in line with the left yard setback, I think it's a responsible approach. There's another part of this also, which is a detached garage, which I'll get into, but I just wanted to just go through the setbacks really quick. The right yard setback, where we have 12 feet required, we're at 7.76. So the right yard is an existing non-conforming, but we're not touching that side of the house. On the left side, there's an 8-foot requirement, and there's an 8-foot minimum, but we're proposing 9.35. So the left side yard setback conforms. But the combined setback, because we have an undersized lot, whereas 17.5 feet is the 35% of the width, we're at 17.13, so we're in violation of the combined setback by literally 4 inches. So that's where the combined setback, variance permission comes into play there. And then in terms of lot, I guess I'll go through the detached garage. The detached garage is going in the left rear corner of the property. It's gonna maintain the required 3-foot setback from the side, 3-foot setback from the rear. And it's because the existing property has no garage at all. And the owner can tell you more about it, but recently he's had over three break-ins within the last couple months. One of them actually last night. They keep trying to take his car, and every time the cops come, they're like, well, a garage would help. So we're weighing the thing. We know that the garage itself adds to the FAR, which is sort of uncommon from other like zoning ordinance that I've seen. But the 326 square feet for the minimum size garage based on, the parking space of 9 by 19, where 2 feet on each side is required for clearance to open the doors, and then 1 foot in the front, 1 foot in the back is required. That makes the minimum clear inside dimension 13 by 21. And then once you factor in the actual foundation wall and structure of the garage itself, that's where we come up with the footprint, which ends up being about 326 total square feet. It's within the height, it's within the setbacks, and it's just a very modest looking 1-car garage that would maintain the same decorative elements that the existing house has. The existing house has a lot of nice decorative trim elements. So it has wide overhangs. wooden clapboard siding. It has nice flares where the siding flares out, where the second floor meets the first floor. It's got a lot of nice detail. We're trying to maintain that detail with the addition and still keep the proportions of the house very appropriate. And then what, now that you know the whole, I guess, part of the project in terms of the overall footprint and what we're asking, the building coverage ends up being where 23% is permitted. We're at 27.2. I don't know if it's a hypothetical argument or not, but if this was a 6,000 square foot lot, it will conform. Lot coverage, maximum 45. We're proposing 51.1. If it was a 6,000 square foot lot, it would also conform. Floor area ratio, I know it's something that's difficult to ask for. Existing is 35.7, which is right under the 36% maximum. And once you factor in the garage and the additional, it's 109, we're only adding 109 square feet to the first floor footprint. But once you factor in the first floor, the second floor master bathroom, plus the garage, it ends up being a total of 48.8%, which is only 2,400 square feet total.
Right, but what would you be allowed if you had a 6,000 square foot lot?
No, you wouldn't. Not for the FAR.
Right. you still
You'd be
would
over no
conform.
matter what.
Be over 300 and so on square feet.
Yeah, you'd be over no matter what you did.
You're
It'd
removing,
be over by the garage,
Yeah.
by the amount of the garage.
Just the garage
Well, over
only.
the third floor.
Yeah.
Even
On the
if,
third floor, right.
even if Samson say, you know what, I just need the garage only because for security reasons, we'd still be over the FAR no matter what we did. So we're trying to at least come before the board and say, let's kind of show them, the general items that we're looking for. It doesn't appear to be anything out of the norm or anything above and beyond, and really just speak to the numbers and what they actually are and kind of take it from there. While we're in front of you, we figured why not ask for what we need and get some kind of feedback based on that. Trying to think of if there's any other major concerns or points, but related to the FAR, very similar to the previous planner's argument in terms of density, impacts on the existing neighborhood, the systems. It's still a 3-bedroom house. It's remaining a 3-bedroom house. We're literally just making the living room a little bit bigger and we're adding a bathroom upstairs. The garage is it's a necessity, but we're still maintaining the 25% rear yard open space requirement. It's set for the back of the property. It's maintaining the setbacks required for that. And we are removing the shed, which is an existing 65 square feet. That's gonna go away just to do whatever we can possibly to reduce the lot coverage in general. Plus the shed, the shed is the thing falling apart anyway, or no?
Yeah, it's pretty much crippling, so.
So we're just gonna remove that anyway, clear up everything, it's gonna feel like a nice open lot. For as small as it is, it's still gonna have a nice open feel in my opinion.
So obviously, you're not a planner and you have a lot of variances here. I'm not totally sure you've cleared the threshold of the proofs, okay? While you can argue C1 for some of this stuff, the floor area ratio thing is not. I mean, C1 gives you up to 2,100, you blew right through that. So, and that's allowing for a 6,000 square foot lot, right, which you don't have. So if you bite that apple, you're up to 2,100 and you're gonna keep going from there.
Yeah.
So my concern is where you're not meeting the C2 either. So I don't know if you have any type of planning, there's someone's gonna some testimony about the proofs of this case, because as far as I can see here, you haven't made a compelling argument as to the positive and negative criteria of your floor area ratio. I mean, you have to have a garage, that's not, that's per the ordinance. I mean, the fact that you don't have one now is fine, but if you're gonna develop a property, you gotta have it.
Right.
So everyone has that, right? So now it comes down to what are you gonna do in terms of your C2 criteria to say that somehow it's a better plan, as our attorney has gone through now a couple of times tonight. With the zoning plan and master plan to be at a 48.8% FAR.
Right, well, the requirement that we need a garage in general brings us over the FAR.
Well, is that what it is?
Right off the
That's what
bat.
you say it is, but is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, what about other things you're doing to the house? So like, it's,
Yeah.
it's chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the fact that the lot square footage is so small that no matter what you ask for, it's gonna be over the FAR. So the question.
Well, I get that.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of how much over, right? I mean, you're going over by a rather substantial amount. Which FAR just speaks to massing, and that's the bottom line. When you look at a property that's 5,000 square feet, and you go to 48%, that's gonna be a big mass issue. Okay, garage or no garage. So I need a little more meat on the bone, is what I'm saying here. So why we need to go to 48.8% to justify that type of massing, because that third floor is gonna be noticeable on a property this size and that.
Well, we're not adding the third floor at all. We're only adding the second floor, and we're keeping the third floor, which is the finished attic. We're leaving that completely alone. This is only the second floor. This is the addition right here. This is all existing.
Right.
So in terms of massing, it's still. It's not, we're not asking for anything 3 stories. The massing is a modest ask. And it's something that's needed to at least get that extra space on the second floor. And I could show you the existing house. Yeah, look little. I don't know if you wanna call this an exhibit, but right now, the little piece on the left only goes up 1 floor. Now we're going up a little bit higher, but we're still lower than the existing roof and the existing attic door.
So
Why don't you,
question.
wait, hold on, why don't you mark that as A1? What is that?
This is a photo of when he purchased the house.
Is that how the house currently looks?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna mark that A1. Can
Does he wanna
we
keep
have
it?
that?
Does he wanna keep that for sentimental reasons?
No,
Okay.
I don't see any Kleenex coming out, pass the thing around.
I know.
Let's mark
That's
it.
right. So quick question, sorry for my futile attempts to clear my airway. Is the roof changing at all, or
No.
that's staying the same?
No, the roof's
Because it
staying
looks a
the
little
same.
different then.
That's at like an angle,
Ah,
but this is
okay.
all the same. This is all the same.
So the roof is not
This
changing?
is
Okay.
new. And we're just angling the new roof here
Ah,
to
okay.
keep within the height restrictions.
thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
that was a great thing.
Yeah, so in terms of overall massing, we're not really adding much mass to the house at all.
Windows the same size, it's like,
Yes. Yeah, we'll keep this aligned, nice and balanced. We'll have this lined up with this.
Yeah.
Balance, and this is sort of one mass and another smaller mass. And then,
So for the record, how much square footage are you adding to the actual house itself?
we're adding 109 square feet on the first floor. And on the second floor, we're going from 667 to 904. So we're adding maybe 220 square feet on the second floor and 109 on the first floor. Roughly, we're only adding about 300 square feet of living space. 109 square feet of footprint.
Right, because it's double stack.
Right.
Would that add what to the FAR? How's the part?
Existing FAR is 1783. Proposed new FAR is 2437, so it's less than 1,000 square feet.
I'm just saying, how much of that? Oh, that's only the patio.
And the garage is 326, you said?
326, right?
But that's not a.
That's in there.
Oh, that isn't it?
That's in there.
So what, I'm sorry, what's the FAR percentage without the garage?
35.7.
35.7.
Would be the existing, that's the existing FAR.
No, it's over with the garage.
Wait,
Yeah, that's,
No, you're, so the question,
What's
the
the
question
FAR
is,
with just the
yeah.
house?
yeah, if you didn't include the garage.
yeah,
I think your FAR is going up.
1% increase, 6% from the floor, you add, and 6% from the
Yeah.
garage.
The garage.
You would be asking for 42-ish percent
right.
FAR if you didn't have the garage.
Right, if we did the addition only, no garage,
I know.
I have it all, I have my scenarios here. Addition only, no garage is 42.5%.
Okay, that's a big increase, right?
And if it was a 6,000 square foot lot, it would be 35.4. Now, no addition, garage only, 42.1%, and it would be 35.1 if it was a 6,000 square foot lot.
well, yeah, I mean, congratulations, but you don't get to build to a lot you don't have, like, there's a point of a hardship. But there's also, you have to look at what you have, I mean, if you had a 7,000 square foot lot, you wouldn't have any of these problems. So, you gotta look at, the massing speaks to the lot size.
Yeah, so like in the other application that we had this evening, they did two things. The first time they were here twice, the first time they were here, it provided photo boards showing how the proposed house would look in relation to other homes in the neighborhood. To provide sort of a neighborhood view visually via photographs. The second time when they came back, as you saw, they provided via professional planner a floor area ratio analysis showing the FARs in the surrounding neighborhood. So for example, if I can, if you had a planner, the applicant had a planner that presented proofs, that were competent proofs that demonstrated that the average FAR in the neighborhood was 50%, right? Given the smaller lots, that may be compelling to your case. The applicant in that case also went back to the drawing board, as the chairman likes to say, and reduced the FAR deviation and reduced the built-in coverage.
Correct.
That
Eliminated one of them.
right, and eliminated a variance. So those are the things that typically the board looks to for the applicant to meet, his or her burden of proof.
So the other thing that concerns me about your drawings is, that side of that house right now sort of gives an sort of an appealing look in terms of elevation. So you have a smaller part, a bigger part. Now you're essentially just squaring that entire side of that house off. So now you wind up with this square box of a house on this small lot. So it's not gonna have that same feel and look as having some sort of change in scale. You just basically square this thing off. I mean, it's not, I get it, you're looking for the room, but it's losing a lot of character.
but when you look at it from the front elevation, that left corner already comes out that far.
It does, but it doesn't go back that far, and it's not a second floor.
Right. And you don't see that part unless you look at the house from the side, you won't necessarily see it.
Well, that's what the neighbors on the
Front, but this is like, what you're gonna see from that left side. And by squaring off that corner, we're only adding 8 feet. We're only adding 8 feet to that corner, in that back corner, it's a relatively small, it's 109 square feet of footprint, it's a small, very small piece.
I get all that. Problem is all of your variances are on the extreme level of extreme, right? So, and you really haven't provided much testimony as our attorney, who's probably a lot more eloquent in expressing it than I am. You haven't done it. So, you know, I think, now I'm not here to give you advice, but you may want to have a planner try to sell these proofs and speak to the positive and negative criteria of balancing your C1 and your C2 on this property. And maybe revisiting it and saying, you know, what do we need is what we want, right?
That was, I guess my initial concern is I know that when it comes to, well, FAR variances, we had correspondence with zoning office and we said for an FAR request, do you need a planner? You know, they said no.
Well, no, it's never up to the zoning officer, it's never up to the board secretary, it's never up to the board as to whether you need anything. If you need a planner, an architect, an engineer, an appraiser, right? It's up to the applicant to meet his or her burden of proof, right?
Right.
So the board is not gonna say, yeah, you don't need that, or you do need that. I mean, we don't know anything about the application. Typically. And once you're presenting it, trying to actually help the applicants provide the board with enough information so that it can make an informed decision on the application that may be in favor of the applicant, right?
Right.
If we can get there, the board can get there. So that's why the chairman is recommending, I mean, even, you know, just to show photographs of like, what's this neighborhood really look like? Because the negative criteria for whether it's the D4 FAR variance or all the bulk variances, you know, is there substantial detrimental impact to the neighborhood and the zone master plan and the zoning ordinance? And by providing things like photo boards and FAR analyses, that, as in the last application, it can get you there potentially.
No, now I think I know how to approach this too, because without officially having you guys deliberate, at least I'm able to hear your comments and your thoughts, and I appreciate that. And also seeing the previous planner's testimony, I already got his business card.
So you were clairvoyant as to where we were gonna go with
I'm
this.
not a planner, but you know, all we can do now, you know, for now is at least we presented what we had to. We got very helpful feedback on how we need to move forward with this. But ultimately, you know,
Okay, so, then we need a new date. And I'm assuming.
Where that's gonna be.
Well, okay, I mean, they were supposed to get it in June, so they're gonna love it. So June 8th or June 22nd, then? June 8th or June 22nd?
Can I mention one thing real quick?
Sure.
If the owner is concerned primarily about the safety issue, and he just wanted to say garage only, is that even worth trying to get an approval for tonight? Because he feels like his back's against the wall with this. He wants to.
Yeah, so you would have to make an application for the garage. You know, you can't just, you know, bifurcate it.
It can't be conditional saying here's the.
Well, here's
Forget all
the
the
thing.
plans.
Here's the thing, I think
Right.
if an applicant's allowed to kind of say, okay, forget about this and forget about that. However, if that's your application and you want the board to consider that, right? You can't kind of get that and then on a piecemeal basis, come back on June 8th or the 22nd saying, oh, now you gave me this, now I want some more. Like,
I
that's
think they'd have to make a new bring on.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, even to get your, you're talking about this, it would still be require zoning relief. So by the time you get it, you have a 45-day appeal period before you can kind of get going on this thing. But I'll be honest with you, those drawings, I'd still want to see more on that garage. I mean, I'd like to see what you're doing, your landscaping, not just chucking a garage in the back of the yard. Like the drawings would have to be more complete if you just want to do a garage. So, if you want to scrap, I mean, I don't think we can come back sooner if it's just a garage application anyway.
No, I don't have anything.
So we don't have the schedules packed. So even if you take it down to a garage application, it's still gonna have to come back.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So it's June or 8th or 22nd is your choices.
Yeah, it's not where it's just.
April is just-
You have to get it all done.
Mr. Yang, do you have like Ring cameras or just like safety things in place?
We have cameras all over the whole house, and I have, literally last night, so I'm a little bit shooken, is last night, we had someone try to break in.
To your house?
To our house, we have
Oh my
3
goodness.
police reports on Cypress Street.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that everyone's here and giving me a lot of good feedback, and I'm willing to sacrifice, the bulk of the issue for just kind of a compensation for just a garage for the time being. And if we decide to kind of continue with the actual extension and squaring off the house, then I will submit another formal application, but my wife is just trembling at home, and I just, she couldn't even make it here because she doesn't feel like leaving the house. And we're just asking for a single car detached garage.
Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, that's not what this application is for.
But is there some sort of, mediation that we can kind of come towards, because we're here now, and I know it's late.
I'm gonna be honest with you. To depart from what you're asking for and go just to a garage, it's just too far a departure. I mean, we have to see recalc on the whole thing. Proper numbers, it's not just rip out everything and just go for the garage. I mean, the calculations all the same. I mean, it can't be rough numbers.
Right, I could tell you the exact calculations now.
I don't-
You put them on the record and kind of say conditionally, forget the whole addition part.
But just start doing that.
Here's a garage, but on the application itself, on the cover sheet, there's a breakdown of how we came to the lot coverage. So if you take these existing numbers already and just strike off the addition, you have the exact numbers.
I mean, is there,
We're next to the.
Yeah, that's not that guys.
yeah, I mean, the problem is that there's a lot of issues that require variance. And to kind of do calculation, it's one thing if, somebody just needed a impervious coverage variance, and we have on occasion where the one isolated variance done a recalculation, let's say on the fly. If somebody said, okay, I'll take 100 square feet off of this patio. So, can you now vote on my application? But this is a little bit more than that. That's the issue here.
Yeah, and like I said, the drawings are fine and all, but they're just not that complete if you're just going with their garage application. I mean, they're really not. Even from this perspective, you have 0 drawings of how this garage even sits on the lot.
There's one, there's one.
What is this?
There's one.
So, yeah, that's not really anything, that's just a survey of. Look,
It's a,
I can be honest with you, the answer is no. I wanna see them come back with a proper application. And that's, I think it's the only thing that's fair to the board. And us to make a proper decision. It's, this isn't, I'm not doing it this way. There are other things too that would wind up becoming involved in this if we approve this. We have other nonconformities, it's just.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
That, given the applicants, and just so you understand, that one of the things that boards like this are not allowed to do legally is to take an applicant's personal circumstances into account with regard to assessing a development application. They're just not allowed to do it, even if they want to do it, you have an incredibly compelling story. What I'm suggesting though, is that, you know, if the applicant decides that they just want to pursue the garage, right, legitimately for legitimate reasons, it would seem to me that that would be, even though they'd have to come back and provide some new calculations, and maybe, as the chairman said, maybe show how it's, you know, situated on the lot a little bit clearer. It doesn't seem to me, Eileen, that it would be something that we couldn't address kind of quickly
Okay.
in terms of the calendar, you know, given your circumstances, right? So is there a way we could, you know, get a half hour somewhere? I mean, now, by the way, if it's determined that you want to do more than just the garage, then I'm not gonna be able to do this and, you know.
So the other thing too is like, I want you to think this out. I realize you're in a bad situation with this garage, okay? And I realize the car situation and the, you know, all the stuff you're dealing with, but I'm hoping that's temporary, okay? That issue can kind of resolve itself. Make a good decision, right? Don't just come back for a garage if you really want to do a proper project. Because to come back again and again and again, it just, not only is it costly for you, it's not necessarily the best way to present it. You know, presenting this as a package, the way you're doing it right now, it makes a lot more sense. So, you know, when you look at the timing, if we approve the garage tonight, it's, okay, yes, you're technically gonna be 2 months ahead of where you would be, but it's 2 months, 60 days. It's, like I said, if we can get you on quicker for a garage, that's fine, but I would tell you that.
If, Sally, if we did decide to go for the garage only, and you wanna see more, and you wanna see a little bit more context, can you just give a little bit more insight in terms of how much more, I guess, site or landscaping information are you looking for?
Well, it's really just a matter of making a drawing up that shows where you are. That little thing down there is fine, but.
This is what we have, the
Right.
footprint, the driveway, paved extension to make it wide enough for the car, and literally that's all there is to it. 3 foot here, 3 feet there. I don't know if, are you looking for more in terms?
That's fine, I
of
just wanna see a
landscaping or
recalc,
anything
I just wanna
else?
see a recalc done on the
Okay.
property.
I just wanted to make sure that the information
Yeah, I
here
mean,
at least
that's-
shows enough in terms of.
You're fine on your
locating
information,
it on the site.
but we definitely wanna see a recalc on everything.
I agree, I mean, I understand.
So that's what it comes down
You
to.
wanna see some landscaping or not?
Yeah, I mean, look, the landscaping is one thing on the back of the property, you know, if you have fencing or anything else, I mean, that's really what you wanna kind of show. But at the same time, like I said, you have to do a recap, because chances are you may have to subsume other things into this that are current non-conformities. So that's why you wanna make sure you get it all covered here. Yeah. So we approve a garage thing, that doesn't mean you get it at all, so. Anyway, if we just do a garage, what do you think? I'd like to stay away from that, tennis club.
That's on the 27th, so we do April 13th if you wanna, if it's gonna come back just for a garage and you think it'll only take a half
So,
hour.
yeah, so April 13th, okay,
Did you
so,
have something by then?
you have less than, you know, whatever it is, 20 business days to get this done, and you have to get it to us 2 weeks out, 2 business weeks out, you know, so 10 days out. So you're gonna have to hustle it in.
Well, there's not much to do.
I agree, yeah, I agree, I mean, that's up to you, like, I don't know what your schedule's like, so.
Does it have to be renoticed?
No,
No, we're reducing, as long as you're reducing it.
Do you think it will affect his chances to get anything else in the house?
Is it
If he's already had
I have
a
no,
variance?
no comment on that. So does that date work for you?
It works for me.
Okay, so then, come back on that date, no further notice.
What date is that, sir?
April
April.
13th.
And in the meantime, if for whatever reason he decides, you know what, we're gonna come back officially, still ask for everything with the planner, we'll let you know. as
Then you're
soon as
looking at, if
possible.
you wanna go the
And then
whole,
it'll be in June.
correct?
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
I suggest making that decision sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the next meeting will fill June up. So if you can get, you know, if you decide this week, later this week.
Yeah.
Let Eileen know that we're gonna stick with the original plan and.
Yeah, if you can get it April 13th on for now to hold that spot, we'll get you a more like official answer ASAP. But I at least appreciate you giving him that option. Because, you know, like you said, hopefully that solves the security issue, even though I don't know if it will, guys, if you can try to break into your garage now.
I'm
not in
like,
the house.
I don't think it's a temporary thing, because they tried in December 2025, and they got carcinated, and they got released recently. And they're back.
They come back.
Yesterday.
Welcome to Essex County, buddy.
And they're breaking into the house because that's where the keys are,
Yeah,
you know?
so.
Crazy.
That being said, this case will be moved, to April 13th. If there's anyone in the audience tonight on this case, that's good.
No further notice to be provided by the app.
Application.
Yeah. You guys are all set? So we'll see you then. Anyone have any other comments that have not been mentioned this evening that would like to go forward? Okay. In that case, have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Oh.
I personally don't care about.
Have you spoken